My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system, which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. Notice: intellectual property theft is particularly egregious and equally unlawful where the sole inventor and creator of the intellectual property is the targeted individual. Erica Lorraine Spencer, subject to the unconstitutional and inhumane government system of gang stalking, otherwise referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices, because of which the intellectual property created by the targeted individual, who is, in fact, Erica Lorraine Spencer, as the intellectual property also proves, serves to establish via evidence and expose the existence of criminal surveillance and thus an inherent threat posed by the U.S. government and the civilian population sharing engagement in the unlawful system. Such evidence that includes all of the content created by Erica Lorraine Spencer, images, videos, audio, etc., belongs solely and entirely to Erica Lorraine Spencer only and is necessarily published online in order to protect her life, safety, and liberty as the targeted individual, who is also the intellectual property owner, no less protected from theft procured through targeting by a public entity. Theft of any intellectual property belonging to Erica Lorraine Spencer, which is necessarily committed while she, being both creator and inventor, remains oppressed by the public entity via criminal surveillance, is a criminal and inhumane means of infringement under all circumstances and not protected nor enforceable pursuant to any invalid or fraudulent acts of copyright, trademarks, patents, etc., including as it pertains to any ideas associated with or generated from the intellectual property or the intellectual property owner, Erica Lorraine Spencer, whether creative, business, or otherwise, nor does the intellectual property owner consent to any such means of infringement and theft.
Alright, it is September 10th, 2025. It's 7:06 a.m. and if you pay attention to the documentation uploaded to the Google Drive, it is up to the minute documentation and images and video, chiefly images this morning, and screenshots showing you all the relevant information, give you context regarding targeting by, for example, the Ontario International Airport, and the ways in which demons are using planes to follow my trail. This is stalking me as I'm walking on the streets. This is what the Ontario Police Department do with helicopters. License 8WEK098, and that's what the people of the state are doing as a population, following my trail. And the evidence for you to witness that is the fake sun that remains over my head. And that doesn't change when the demon-possessed are monitoring evidence and they cover up what is remaining, and what always stays on the record is a fake sun, okay? The entity is engaging what is stalking with light. So corrupt companies like Sunbelt and Griffith, Kleinberger, they're monitoring with the Ontario International Airport that is following from Euclid Avenue, license 8U37626, crossing path at the Wendy's on Hope Boulevard. I've heavily documented Hope Boulevard. The entity is maintaining flight, flying west over Hope Boulevard, and then you're reconciling what is flying and doing donuts flying over Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue, where you are deviating from Holt. And then they're engaging as though they're taking off on Hope Boulevard, even where I'm at the 150 East Hope Boulevard, San Bernardino County Health Clinics. And then they're hovering over the Starbucks at 706 West Hope Boulevard at San Antonio and Hope Boulevard, just to give you another example, when Delta Airlines is flying over my head, hovering over the Starbucks parking lot. That is, again, flying farther west and never completing a takeoff, never rising in elevation, perpetually hovering. And they're doing that in that specific environment, and they're also doing it while I'm documenting the people of the state. The entity is engaging what is stalking as a population. So Griffith Company, these are demons that just wear hard hats. These are demons that are driving large trucks that maintain light activity. And putting on a hard hat and digging into the asphalt is the pattern of conduct in the specific environment with the very mentally ill, demon-possessed who are using all of the airlines of the Ontario International Airport. These are demons that are flying commercial planes, as also my documentation will show you to give you a vivid illustration of what you are witnessing. It is a prosecution, but this is an exposure of the demon-possessed. These are demons that are flying commercial planes associated with companies that you're familiar with, okay? And that you should not perhaps have such a comfort level with because they are engaged in sacrificing American citizens, stalking, torturing, harassing, and doing so as under the guise of should be maintaining a multi-million-dollar business, but they're concerned with American citizens, individuals, to specifically target them. And that's what I'm showing you is underway while the Ontario International Airport is under no circumstances having arrivals and departures. I took a screenshot of what is published on the website. All right, the entity's hovering over Euclid Avenue, flying west where I'm located at Euclid Avenue, and doing donuts, just flying over. That's getting a relevant position and flying back in the opposite direction. That's pacing. And they're doing that repeatedly as I'm uploading images to recall who I've already documented, letting you know that those are demons. Paul Leon is a demon. Mike LORENZ is a demon. The City of Ontario, Michael GERKEN, the fire chief, he's a demon. Alan D. WAPNER, where I'm documenting this heavy demonic activity, he's a demon. And these are demons that are in positions of authority, and these are demons that are flying commercial planes. Now, while I am literally walking, you're going to look at Google Maps. Just to give you an example, and this is something that you could illustrate in a courtroom. With regard to a prosecution, the trail that I'm walking and what the entity is doing with commercial planes while they are hovering, following, in other words, the trail that I'm walking. And they're doing so while maintaining what is a published list of arrivals and departures that the Ontario International Airport is departing from. And again, has nothing to do with what would be flying miles away from that airport to necessarily be flying over Euclid Avenue at that low elevation to be heard, to then be flying over the Metro 102 apartments as I'm at that Metro 102 apartments, while the entity is doing so outside of what is published regarding what you're expecting to be arriving and departing from the airport. The entity is engaging what is flying over at the Holt Boulevard and Holt and Lemon, while I am in front of what are demons driving construction vehicles. Griffith Company is monitoring American citizens. It's not different, just like McCarthy. They're monitoring. They're using those tractors, they're using those trucks, they're using that equipment while they're drilling in the ground. Those are demons that are monitoring you, and they're doing it in engineer light and under a fake sun. And they're doing it with the government that's maintaining aerial surveillance in the psychopathic manner that I just documented. Plane after plane after plane after plane after plane after plane. You're talking about every 45 seconds, the demons flying another plane. The Ontario International Airport doesn't even maintain that level of frequency with regard to arrivals and departures. But when I'm documenting the P.O.C, because of what it is that they're doing, they're monitoring and they're engaging in what is supposed to be psychologically torturous behavior. So as I document, they do more. 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 So I am essentially controlling what is the frenzy behavior of stalkers that are using commercial planes. And it's also relevant to the business of that international airport, recognizing, targeting me. It's also relevant to where the planes are located, relevant to identifying, targeting me. It's also relevant to the specific environment where that conduct deviating from what is published regarding and also what is expected from arrivals and departures from an airport at 2500 Airport Road, where you're not hovering over the apartment complex. You're not going to be hovering while you're flying what is west over Holt Boulevard. But then how are you getting over to Euclid Avenue and then engaging in donuts? And what you also see is the airport is flying west. Every plane that I'm capturing, they're flying toward me, getting in alignment to me, and then they're engaging in that U-turn once they get in alignment with my person. Plane after plane after plane engaging in that same conduct. And that is, again, while I'm documenting the people of the state. Guess what? Griffith Company and everybody else, everybody living in the Metro 102 apartments, where I've documented the fake sun from sunrise until sunset, is engaging in public corruption. This is a surveillance state. These are not private citizens. That apartment complex is engaged in criminal monitoring. While these demons wearing hard hats are outside, stalking in the path, conspicuously engaged in the P.O.C with light activity under the circumstances of the planes following every street that I'm going down in the same way that the entity is doing from the by the Ontario Police Department using helicopters, and they're doing so while I am documenting the entirety of that entity. All right, this is P.O.C. It's 7:13 a.m. And that is at Cardenas, flying to get in alignment with me, hovering from elevation. That's not a takeoff from the airport. Takeoffs are a sharp incline in the sky, and they're doing so at 720 West Hall Boulevard. The Cardenas, where I've already documented the fake sun, stalking in alignment, they're stalking now. This is UTILIQuest who is monitoring. License plate 92468W3. UTILIQuest, license 92468W3. And I want to be clear, these construction businesses that are engaging in surveillance, they're going to lose their licensure. They don't have licensure to engage in surveillance with the government, to engage in psychological torture, terrorism, to make money while doing it. And that is the direct opposite and in conflict with public policy to engage in domestic terrorism and furtherance of murdering someone with the government while you are forming a business, a construction business, doing any sort of business with the government. It shall not include surveillance like UTILIQuest, like Griffith Company is, in concert with these demons that are pacing in traffic, including 94181Z1, license 9FDL524, standing in the street, holding a drill, holding a light, looking as like you're doing something so vital, you will be prosecuted. It does not change. They're doing whatever looks so important under the fake sun with the government that's stalking by planes and helicopters. You will be prosecuted, and you're losing that licensure. And it's also public information. Every business, every government, every politician, every community that's being prosecuted for domestic terrorism, being exposed for it, it's public information why you lose that licensure, because it's for the protection of American citizens that know who the domestic terrorists are. And in America, the United States of America, domestic terrorists are going by company names like Amazon Prime, like Southwest Airlines, like UTILIQuest and Griffith Company, like Cardenas Markets. Where you have any gang stalking immigrants, guess what? They're being deported. While the government is essentially blowing the whistle by targeting me amongst this population who is simultaneously being documented for a prosecution and deportation of any immigrants that are engaging in terrorism with that government that's stalking, very obviously, all right, in commercial planes. This is UTILIQuest again, license 19527W3 and 92468W3, and it's 7:15 a.m. You're going to pay attention to the images, what's documented on the Ontario International website. This is how I've been surrounding the entity with what is identifying all the ways in which you are witnessing and seeing targeting. License 27695A4, and that is in addition to what is the specific environment. Okay, I don't just have the evidence, and I'm not just discerning the fact that these are demons. This is tangible evidence regarding what is clear deviation from the legitimate operation of businesses, from by airports, police departments, who are engaged in all manner of what is targeting me as their conduct demonstrates. Okay, license 12597X3, UTILIQuest. UTILIQuest license 14466A4, and UTILIQuest is not the first corrupt business engaging in surveillance, and it's not based on chronology. Oh, they've been engaged in construction before. When I'm on Omnitrans, and Omnitrans is driving by UTILIQuest, what's remaining over me through the window of that bus, while UTILIQuest and Griffith Company are gang stalking under the fake sun? Remaining over me, they're monitoring now while the Ontario International Airport is proving it. Okay, this is again 720 West Hall Boulevard, Cardenas, where there's a history documentation already here. Stalking and engaging in what is maintaining the specific environment, the fake sun. While I'm on Omnitrans, moving very rapidly. While I'm walking on foot, that fake sun moves as slowly as I move. And if I stay at this intersection of what is Campus and Holt Boulevard, that fake sun doesn't move. That's what you see at the Ovid Family Community Library. Okay, covering up the fake sun is just showing that 87628E4 is monitoring evidence. Okay, 7TBF462 P.O.C. UTILIQuest is underneath the ground, stalking in the path, doing so with the government that's maintaining commercial planes, and these are all demons. You need to understand that UTILIQuest is a demonic company. They're a domestic terrorist. They're violent sex offenders, and so is every company name. These are demons wearing these neon vests and these hard hats, and they're pacing all around in the engineered light, and that's giving you a real-life HD image of Satan, because that's what Satan is operating under the name UTILIQuest. These are demons gang stalking. And they also monitor my vagina. They're sex offenders, and they are monitoring while I'm remaining at Ovid Family Community Library. Understand, millions of people are keeping me under surveillance together. All I did was go on Holt Boulevard and show you the pattern of conduct that is ceaseless. They're sex offenders, and so is that company. 7DRF667. This is P.O.C. And this is, I'm starting now. I started documenting earlier. I documented the people of the state at Metro 102, while the entity flies over Metro 102 apartments, which is, again, you're deviating, flying diagonally, but while I'm walking on Hope Boulevard, there are no planes that are flying northwest beyond me to fly over by Euclid Avenue, which is what you're doing. They're maintaining alignment with me on Hope Boulevard, and doing so while they're also then engaging what is making U-turns to fly back in the opposite direction, which, by the way, that's what sort of departures and arrivals are you speaking of, and what sort of passengers are on board of flights like that? Because I've never been on a flight headed toward a destination and the pilot flies off from the airport and makes a U-turn and goes back toward that airport. And I've also never seen the entity publish on the website the frequency that I'm documenting, planes after about every 45 to 90 seconds, based on what it is that I'm doing as I do it. License BL12B36, that's a paper plate. This is the pattern of conduct, and this is understanding that the demon-possessed are engaging in the elements of monitoring. And in the United States of America, where you're talking about what is public corruption, and it's the demonic system, the demon-possessed are operating in ways in which you are associating you're identifying demon possession by their engagement in elements. So Utiliquest is using vehicles. Utiliquest is using its trade, being in the middle of the street, holding props, because that's all Satan is doing, wearing that vest and that hard hat, and holding sticks and measuring things with the wheel, whirl in the middle of the street. All they're doing is monitoring. They're maintaining presence, and under the fake sun, it's a very vivid illustration. While the entity is flying in circles over my head in helicopter, it's a very vivid illustration. These are demons, and they're malicious ones, okay? It's currently 7:19 a.m., 9SKK686. You already know that Omnitrans is gang stalking. While the entity is flying over B&G Plaza, while I'm on Hope Boulevard, not flying northwest over me to continue flying over the 320 downtown Ontario luxurious apartments. No planes are flying over there while I'm on Hope Boulevard, like they are when I'm on Euclid Avenue, which I would see if they're taking off from the airport, then they will be flying over me, focused on that northwest destination, because they have to fly miles away from the airport to be hovering over Euclid Avenue. All right, the entity's engaging in what is stalking while they're doing so, but they're not doing that because I am the focal point, which the fake sun and the fake moon at night shows you, and also the deviation from the published arrivals and departures, where this demon, Alan D. Wapner, this violent sex offender, Alan D. Wapner, is calling himself what is deceptive. He's a domestic terrorist leader, and he is not a legitimate president of an airport authority. In the United States, Satan likes to esteem himself higher than he is. He's nothing other than a sex offender. He's a criminal. License 84555W3. And I want to be clear, these commercial airlines, this gang stalking, these demons that are stalking in planes, they're doing so in furtherance of committing murder. So they are actively engaging in the conspiracy to commit murder, while documentation of stalking with the people of the state, stalking with the entity using commercial planes is being heavily documented right now. License 7GCW806. These are the demons in their vehicle 7W83874, 84555W3. These are the demons that are operating these construction vehicles. They're out at work and they park their vehicles on the street. These are these demons' private vehicles, and they're gang stalkers. License 7LVC274. 49732P3, 74825F1, and they're violent sex offenders. Violent sex offenders, and this is the reality of what I'm telling you. Sexual violence is much more prevalent than what the criminal justice system that's operated by the corrupt entity that's keeping you under surveillance and at the same time practicing sexual violence. More than you know. Griffith Company, California license 88. You're losing that licensure. You are losing it while you are documented engaged in the P.O.C, and I've documented tons of corrupt construction companies keeping me under surveillance. You're losing it. 4504484, and it's going on the record, the public record, as to why. Domestic terrorism. 6DSM375, 9MLP817, 90841C2. 9EEA671, stalking with light as I approach the vehicle. This demon's license 85346F4, and that's a demon that doesn't care that he's being documented. That's impunity as you document. That's also mental illness, okay? They're getting into the passenger side of license 56828G4, license 8ZGL831, stalking in the path. Okay, Griffith Company is an un-American company. They are hostile to the Constitution, to your freedom, to your privacy rights, and to the enforcement of your rights. And that violence that the demons flying commercial planes are exhibiting, while they are being documented, this is the same asininity of the Ontario police that are being disbanded. And I want to be clear, domestic terrorists that are flying commercial planes, they're subject to federal prison. Okay, not on the same basis as the government that will kidnap you. That's why the Ontario police are going to federal prison and being disbanded. But those that are engaging in what are commercial airline flights that are used to engage in terrorism, stalking an American citizen, that is the same aspect of this entity that murders people. That's the same aspect of that entity that's engaged in City of Ontario, license 1497506. They were stalking under the fake sun that was ahead of schedule at the Ovid Family Community Library and still remain at that Ovid Family Community Library at open at 10 a.m. They're stalking on Hope Boulevard right now. This is the entity that's gang stalking. Apollyon is a demon, okay? But nonetheless, the entity is engaging in what is maintaining this pattern of conduct and is doing so. Let me get this license plate. Can't see it. License 8T. No, excuse me one second. License 8THB291. The entity is engaging in this pattern of conduct. I am currently, by the way, at Holt and Bonneview. And I have documented what I'm stating is that I've documented the entity that is stalking by commercial planes and is doing so while they are threatening the lives of American citizens. They commit murder and it's immediately written off as an accident. And that's not true. I'm showing you that they're targeting. I'm showing you that they're engaging in the conspiracy to commit murder by gang stalking. I'm showing you the violence and the inherent terrorizing impact of stalking somebody in the most absurdly psychopathic manner. You're going to federal prison for that. And you are also necessarily subject to mental examinations. Mental examinations, the mental health of the gang stalker is built into the pattern of conduct, just like any other stalker. All right, there's something wrong with you when you're stalking. There is definitely something wrong with you when you are gang stalking, and you have a population of mentally ill psychopaths, violent sex offenders. Sexual violence is built into what they do, how they live their lives, and how they execute this criminal system. And that's unbeknownst to you, because they're going around with many of them, most of them, no criminal records. This is everyday society. I'm driving around in the suburbs of San Diego. Those people that have less jobs, they make several $100,000 a year, and they're gang stalking. They don't have a criminal record, and they're sex offenders, and they're co-conspirators to murder. That fake sun doesn't deviate from being over me because I'm in that neighborhood. You saw it shining all the more over me at the San Diego Police Department, on the freeway in San Diego. You saw those demons stalking on that freeway. Oceanside Police, while the fake sun's over my head, they're monitoring. They're demons. And the entities engaging in that while they are engaged in the pattern of conduct. You hear the vehicles beeping. These are demons who are monitoring in real time. And I've documented on Hope Boulevard already the fake sun that is speaking to the P.O.C. The fake sun on Hope Boulevard from sunrise until sunset. The same entity I'm documenting on Euclid Avenue. On sunrise and sunset on Euclid Avenue, which runs north and south. It's on the east side of Euclid Avenue and sets on the west side of that same Euclid Avenue. Documented that same pattern of conduct on Hope Boulevard, which intersects with Euclid Avenue in the same city of Ontario. Okay, this is where the entity is engaging what is the elements of monitoring. License plate 56828G4. They're using the CAT tractor. That's a recognition of a third party. Everything that they're using, you're going to prosecute. You're going to prosecute those businesses. At O'Reilly, where I'm documenting on Omnitrans base, by the way, the fake sun over me through that bus while these demons are engaging in what is construction, and they're simultaneously engaged in monitoring light activity and audible activity, and they're systematically engaging in what is surveillance. And they do so while I'm on foot. I mean, it could be the same thing even if I'm in transportation, but I happen to be on foot and I have time to capture plane after plane after plane after plane after plane after plane, clearly targeting as well. And that's getting to the mental illness and demons that are engaged in gang stalking, defendants that are engaged in terrorism and psychological torture by stalking an American citizen using commercial planes are subject to federal prison. And mental examinations are inherent to that prosecution. Okay, this is what you've seen Southwest Airlines as a company documented as engaging in for years. Delta Airline, every airline with the Ontario International Airport, but I have literally so much evidence, I've documented it by brand, by airline. And these are companies that are enemies to the United States. They want your money, but they hate you. And they want to target you. They want to violate your constitutional human rights. They want to sexually violate you. And they also want to threaten and harass you as you enforce your rights, which is what you're witnessing as I'm documenting it. In fact, the more that I document, the more pictures that I took, the more planes began hovering over me as I am walking from Euclid Avenue to what is Hope Boulevard, where I'm at now, walking in the direction east. Where I've already, the evidence is already sitting on the record that they're gang stalking. Covering up the fake sun doesn't help anybody. It shows you and proves that they're engaged in surveillance. Okay? Because that's all it is. It's not the operation of the weather. The fake sun is sitting over me on one street all day long. This isn't traffic. This is surveillance. And this is a population of demons. And that's why you see the images that I'm showing you, so that you can understand the the implications of what I'm telling you. And it's not just an implication, it is a fact. Okay? These are demons by the thousands. Everybody sitting in traffic at the stoplight. They're all stalking one person, first of all. They're all stalking me, and they're all demon-possessed. Every single last one of them. Now, with regard to the ability to prosecute civilly and criminally, with ability to enforce your rights, in a so-called civilization like the United States of America, you can identify the defendant through a plethora of ways. I'll prosecute your company, and I'll prosecute you. And it's beyond that, which is tortious. Tortious conduct, meaning I can prosecute that third party who's a criminal, and I'll prosecute that business that's a criminal. And that becomes the businesses, those deeper pockets that can be held civilly and criminally responsible. You there have an incentive if you don't want to be identified as terrorists. If you don't want to pay another bill like this, well, then I guess you have a responsibility to not hire demons, not hire criminals that are going to have you accountable. Because there's not going to be a severance in a court where you're not responsible. Yes, you are responsible. Because my evidence shows that they are all gang stalking. So that's identifying more than one third party. The operation of that business, that logo, whoever's flying it, whoever's driving it, who's ever wearing that logo, that represents that company. That's threatening you, that's gang stalking you. And also that third party that is engaging, that's identification of two. And both of them are engaging in that pattern of conduct together. In fact, that's how the people of the state engage in targeting you. That's how they engage in psychological torture. License plate. Suppose you drive, going to the 280 North Lemon Apartments, gang stalking, stalking in the path, delivering a bunch of block refrigerators, stalking with light activity all day long under the fake sun. Suppose you drive is located at 1010 East Hall Boulevard, and they're engaged in the P.O.C. while stalking in the parking lot J261H1, 9EIX 912. D287R1, and suppose you drive is a facilitating venue. They're corrupt, they're engaged in criminal surveillance like everybody else. The Ontario International Airport flying way over Hope Boulevard, and then where I'm located on Hope Boulevard is where they're engaging what is making U-turns in the sky space. You'll see that illustrated in the images that I'm taking, while they are clearly engaging what is psychopathic behavior, and that is providence for me, the prosecutor, gathering evidence of targeting, and it's also a provision of you for you to recognize that I'm not making up anything. At 1031 East Hope Boulevard, Freightliner, that's not a coincidence while a demon is in perfect alignment with me, with their vehicle reverse lights on, as I document suppose you drive. That's stalking in the path with light. This is what all of the demon-possessed are doing while the fake sun remains over me. They're all stalking me with light. They're demons. 7VNR313 is monitoring with that psychopath who knows who I am and is also engaged in monitoring my vagina. Okay, license 04809A1, license 9AXK280, P.O.C. License, driving on the wrong side of the road, 98483U1, P.O.C. All right, it is currently 7:31 a.m. This is P.O.C. This is what I'm documenting when I'm on Omnitrans or when I'm in Tracy Banks' vehicle, if you're paying attention to my documentation. Tracy Banks is a demon. And that's what would cause anybody to attack or want to be or be envious of or want to have sex with their own child, their own daughter. I'm an adult now, but she's been sexually obsessed and sexually interested, engaged in pedophilia. This is a psychopath and a sexual psychopath as well, because she's demon possessed. All right, and I want to be clear, that same spirit is what is flying Southwest Airlines. That same spirit, demon possessed, is what's flying every airline that are gang stalking me. This demon possession is specifically a Jezebel spirit, and they are all demon possessed. And this is speaking to how Satan is operating over millions of people, a population that you need to be advised of. While you're witnessing me prosecute it. Okay, Satan is not impervious to a prosecution with tangible evidence in a federal tribunal at all. You're witnessing that. You need to know, what you pick up from this is that Satan is possessing, controlling, using millions of people who are demon possessed, that is mentally ill, sexually perverted and deviant, a threat to your safety. Okay, in positions of authority that they are unfit to be in, while wanting to present as a sane, normal, sound human beings, and they're not. 81156T3. That's another license plate. They're not. This is a population that seeks to present as being sane and normal. Those distinct from the criminals that are in prison, right? I'm sane and I'm a law-abiding citizen because I don't have a criminal record, because I'm not in jail. That's an illusion. They're engaged in a system of what is public corruption, and it's demonic. And these are demons that are lined up in traffic. These are demons that are stalking as an airport. These are demons that are stalking amongst law enforcement. They all share the same condition. They're demon possessed. And that's what you're picking up. And gang stalking pilots, they're going to federal prison. They commit mass murder. They commit mass murder, and it's automatically written off as an accident to be discussed, what went wrong. It's rationalized, and then it's given some sort of, that's audible activity, because I'm telling you the truth right now. Those are demons that are listening, everything that you're listening to. First of all, that's amplification. And the entity is engaging in what is Union Pacific is a means of what is, I'll go ahead and take a picture of that. I'm at Mayfair Inn at Cucamonga and Hope Boulevard, where I showed you the fake sun was remaining over my hotel room, which I documented in 2019. So this is the P.O.C, the Social Security Office, in case you did not know. That's relevant to the federal government, who's engaged in gang stalking. I documented the federal government monitoring me at the Social Security Office in Los Angeles, and what was over my head was the fake sun, and the entity that's speaking to your privacy, it's an illusion. That's why the fake sun was over me at that Social Security office, following me, remaining over me en route to that Social Security office from Alvarado Gardens, where LAPD is gang stalking. Glendale PD are gang stalking when I go to the DMV in Glendale, California, all under the fake sun. And then you're listening to Union Pacific gang stalking while demons are together stalking me obsessively. Okay, hostile because you know that they're sex offenders obsessed with my vagina. They don't want you to know that they're sex offenders. They don't want you to know that they routinely engage in sexual violence pursuant to surveillance that you don't know anything about. So these are sex offenders that get to engage in violating you without your knowledge. These are psychopaths that are mentally sick, trying to present as sane individuals. And they're not. They're demons, and you don't know that, but you know that now. And they're engaging what is amplified audible activity while I'm speaking to that fact. Okay, and while you hear the entity engage in that, I document that pattern very regularly with regard to the entity that engages in loud activity regarding what they don't want me to speak about or what they're hostile toward, whatever it is I'm documenting. But I am speaking to that P.O.C, and the entity is engaging in this pattern of conduct regarding what is an illusion regarding those that surround you. And Satan does not want to be known. Satan is a spirit. Satan does not want to be known, to be anywhere near you. Satan wants you to think of him as being just something that's joked about in Disney movies. And Satan is a spirit, and Satan is very real. Satan is your enemy. Satan hates you. And Satan already he possesses millions and millions and millions of people. The entire state of California, and I mean every celebrity, every politician, anybody that you think of, they're demons. California has been totally consumed. These are demons. And that's also why I'm documenting what is an unprecedented level of public corruption. These are demons. And this is, again, speaking to what is pervasive. So, and that's speaking to the families. And demons give birth to children all the time. In case you did not know, that curse is spread to that next generation. And this is why you have these little teenagers that are very much aware and know the significance of what they're doing. I pay attention to the malice that they act with. They've been taught how to be predators. In 9FVA 665, and even before they have that level of consciousness, their demon-possessed parents are engaging and causing them to engage in monitoring until they get to that point till they recognize that significance. They have that mature demonic spirit on them, operating over them, telling them what to do, showing them who to target. It's a spirit. It's a demonic spirit. All right. And so anyway, the entity is engaging in this P.O.C. and doing so while I am walking East on Hope Boulevard and Grove, and gang stalking pilots and plane crashes in the United States, they are automatically written off as accidents. And that's because it is unfathomable for anybody to assume anything else. Absent in some sort of factor information that, you know, if this was necessarily something that was beyond it, but you're not going to get that, and it is always presented in that way. And this is how the United States is engaging in domestic terrorism without calling it an act of terrorism, in order for you to maintain what is a level of comfort, to be conditioned in your mind and not even recognize what it is that you're looking at. In the same way that they're gang stalking me, they commit murders. Very calculated. And they do so with regard to the threat that I'm telling you that is aware. And this is not to spread fear. This is so that you will be informed regarding, don't be ignorant about hanging out at night because you can get mugged. Okay, well, you need to not be ignorant about demons surrounding. And by surrounding, I don't mean just one or two. I don't mean in the bad part of the neighborhood. I don't just mean in, you know, in that particular area with amongst those people that look like that or only have that much amount of money or drive that or don't have access to vehicles or in that income bracket or come from that history or that line. No, 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 no. This is a demon possession that is millions of people. The entire state of California. They're gone. They're already dead. 68TP860. They're already dead. And every corrupt business is engaged in criminal conduct, which is demonic. But this is letting you know about the millions and millions and millions of people who are of this condition, and it's relevant to sexual violence, it's relevant to criminal activity, it's relevant to mental illness. That may threaten you, harm you in one way or another if you are not aware of it. Okay? 70698X3. This is gang stalking, Sully Mueller contracting, license 747612A. Yeah, you don't get contracting licenses. You don't use that for criminal monitoring in the United States, and they will be losing it. All right, this is another means to prosecute, to engage in what is prosecuting the people of the state. You can't, it's not practicable, rather you can, but it's not practical because there are not enough federal prisons to put every terrorist in prison. All right, and there's also license plate 9NVM254. And there is also an escalation of charges with regard to gang stalking and committing kidnapping, gang stalking and committing criminal summoning. Let me get on the opposite side of the street. Gang stalking and committing criminal summoning versus gang stalking when and it's not less criminal, it's not less un-American, it's not less sexually violent, it is not less egregious. But you are getting to what is practical, okay? What can the federal government do? How do you create policies and legislation around this ginormous problem? Everybody can't go to federal prison, even though everybody belongs there. They do. That's not an exaggeration. Based on what the entire entity is doing. They're sex offenders, they're violating children. Their secrets is that they are engaged in pedophilia, but while they're engaged in surveillance, your children's nudity, when they're taking baths, when you think that you're in the privacy of your home, they are under surveillance, and they're sex offenders. Well, I'm telling you that they're monitoring my vagina that they're obsessed with. This is what they're doing to your kids. And they know whether your kids are gifted. They know whether your kids are advanced, and they hone in on those children. They're violent sex offenders, and you're under surveillance in your home. And you may not know that your child is exceptional and a target amongst the demon-possessed for that reason, because they can smell that spiritual giftedness on them. All right? But this is part of that secret sexual deviancy of the pedophiles who are gang stalking, engaging in a criminal system of surveillance unbeknownst to you. And it's millions of people that are engaging in criminal surveillance, which is sexual violence. The utter absence of any privacy. And that's also concerning your children. Your children. Don't forget that when I, as a grown woman, am documenting the pattern of conduct. But not me, nor any child, we maintain the same right to not have our genitalia under surveillance. I maintain that right. Okay, if I want to put my genitalia on the internet, guess what? I'm free to do that. But I've never done that. But this sex offending entity that's obsessed with my vagina, they did do that. They're sex offenders. That's why they're all stalking. I could not make up these collection of facts. It literally is millions of people. It literally is every single last one of them. All right, and sexual violence is built into what California is engaging in, built into the surveillance system, built into what is mentally ill, because that level of perversion and deviancy, that is rooted in what is the condition, which is demon possession, and it is affecting, manifesting in their behavior. That's relevant to diagnosing and recognizing mental illness, behavioral health issues that are a threat to other people, okay? And that is built into the P.O.C. License 7HDC348, 75298P3, 7XLK365, 80653F4, 29788X2, janitorial and landscaping. That's a business and a third-party license plate. They're gang stalking. In California, this is not traffic. These are a bunch of demons that are making sure that I'm surrounded. It's surveillance. That's why they do it under the fake sun and amongst impossible light activity. And with the state that is clearly and conspicuously stalking in a documented manner because it's never being removed from the record. And I've been documenting that for years. This is not the first time that the Ontario International Airport has shown itself to be a domestic terrorist, which is a threat to the U.S. This is the evidence that is supporting shutting down that airport. It is a national security threat. While they're flying into other countries, while they're terrorizing other states, these psychopaths are targeting me on their way while they're engaged in interstate commerce, making money, Okay, and this is the entity that's engaging in what is federal stalking at the same time. This is relevant to what you're going to federal prison, and this is supporting that policy. This is why they murder people in the same way that they're gang stalking people. They murder people, and it is not an accident. And those people that are holding those congressional hearings, you're talking about what is a very small percentage, and I'm just going to be honest, people like myself who are not a part of it. Contrary to what they'll put on the internet, everybody's been gang stalked like me. Everybody's the exception like me. Everybody's been targeted, but that's a lie, and I'll let you know how that's a lie, and you know that it's a lie, because gang stalking doesn't just end. They don't just say, oh, okay, well, we're done. That's no fun anymore. We're not going to target. So what happened? You were being gang stalked, and then they just stopped targeting you? What happened there? Because that's not how that system operates. You were being targeted, and then you became one of them? Is that what you're talking about? Because that's not a testimony either. That's a liar. You have not been targeted by the state. If you were targeted by the state, you're sitting up kidnapped somewhere, you're dead already. In which case we wouldn't hear about it. Because that's not how gang stalking is concluded. That's not why they're targeting you, to just stop so you can tell everybody about it after it happens. That's not what gang stalking is, and that's not how that works. And that's also how you know that they're lying. License 9PQF231, 7XZH300, 9TCL339. All right, another gang stalking homosexual, monitoring another woman, stalking another woman. And this is breaking down a lot of the illusions regarding what you have. Oh, their family is so perfect. And you're sitting up jealous of people because they're married and they have 2.5 kids, and their husband or their wife makes $250,000, whatever is your ideal of a nice little quaint lifestyle. They're demons, and they're out monitoring other people's vaginas and genitalia, in other words, together as a family. They're mentally sick. They're depraved. They actually hate themselves and each other, and they put on an illusion of happiness and perfection for you. And that happiness and perfection picture is only based on what you've been conditioned to think is perfection. You've been told all of these things. You've been told about what you want and about what is desirable to have. You've been told that. And then you have Satan doing a tap dance in front of your face, and then you're jealous about that. That makes no sense. And by the way, I'm showing you millions of people in California, of all places. These demons are miserable. They're all stalking me. Why don't you have any business? Why don't you have anything to do? They're engaged in construction, and guess what it's about? It's about me. They're maintaining a whole airport, and guess what their operations are concerning? Me. They have a whole police department, and what are they concerned with? Me. These people don't even like themselves. Their life is not their own. They have been given over to Satan, whose obsession is the one that he can't have. And you are not being gang stalked in the United States or anywhere and then surviving it. Being gang stalked is something that ends in kidnapping or murder, or you become one of them. Because it's a spirit. It's spiritual warfare, and you're being targeted. And they're on YouTube. Those are demons on YouTube that are engaged in gang stalking as well, wanting to mimic the one that they know is exposing everybody. You're not like me. You're not like me at all. And I'm still being gang stalked, and I'm exposing it. And if you were being gang stalked, where is the evidence of that? How is it that so you just lived and experienced what is utopia after the fact, and you're exposing everybody, you're living around that sort of threat to the government? No, you were not gang stalked. You don't even know what that is. License 9TJY465, they're lying. 8YJP860. And this is, again, also relevant to mental illness. And it's the entity, the demon-possessed, that want to be me. They're obsessed with me. They're stalking and monitoring me. And they are on the internet, by the way, feigning that they're being targeted. You're lying, and you're a psychopath, because who wants to be targeted like this? Nobody wants that. Nobody wants to be targeted. Nobody asked for that. License 8CEJ411. License 5TAW302. All of that is speaking to what is deception, and it's all relevant also to what is implausible. Because when you're being gang stalked, you're a threat to the government, and you're not going to survive. I'm speaking on behalf of the ordinary target individual, and the level of evidence and my ability to lay that out, and so in order for it to be studied and understood and prosecuted, and also to expose and embarrass Satan, which has been my objective, a dual purpose from the outset. You're talking about what is, the entity's not just gonna let you be on the internet, and by let you, I mean that. You are one of them. You're a minion, lying about being gang stalked. No, you weren't. License 8YAS326. You're going to see the entity that is stalking in, smaller plane, the same criminal surveillance in the sky space, while the entity uses commercial airline planes in order to do that. All right, they're on the internet engaged in gang stalking, and they're monitoring me doing so. The entity is flying over my head while license 9JZA948 is engaged in that P.O.C. together. That's an ongoing identification of targeting. All right, license 75366S3. And by the way, it is 7:47 a.m. All right, but gang stalking by these airlines, by these pilots, that's not going to remain anonymous. Like the entities engaging in conduct, and they do the same thing in helicopter. Like no one's going to know who they are. There's no record, no way to know who the name of that particular demon is, and that's not true. And not only that, you're going to federal prison. They murder people by crashing helicopters and planes. Those police departments are committing murder and doing so under the guise of being police officers. Oh, no, you did not. You're engaged in surveillance. You don't even have a right to be in their presence. Based on the way that the laws are formed with regard to the Constitution, it doesn't matter if they actually are criminal. Do you understand? Because you're engaged in criminal activity, you don't have jurisdiction. And this is what's so this is what's so unfortunate with regard to criminal conduct by the government, the police. If this is an actual criminal, so are you, and you are not constitutionally authorized for any stop. You don't have probable cause. You're sitting up stalking. You're sitting up stalking them. So you know that's not law enforcement, Satan. That's not law enforcement. So the entities engaging in this, and they're doing that to people that don't even commit any crimes. This is what I've documented. You're going to federal prison, you psychopath. You're going to prison. 9DOH626, 9JMZ496. Excuse me. Yeah, 496. This buildup of traffic, these are demons. I'm going to show you a picture. This is satanic. These are all demons. This is light activity, relevant positioning, and ongoing stalking by the planes flying over my head. They're targeting together. EG03U67. These are all demons. And again, they're doing so with the demons that are gang stalking Griffith Company. 8THT169, 9PKA494, 9MYW003, one demon after another. And this is what they're doing all night long. This is what they're doing when they're monitoring my vagina. This is what they share in sexual violence, they share in stalking, they share in maintaining presence. It's surveillance, not traffic. 8HTJ324, and these are people who are dead. These are demon-possessed, this is a demon-possessed population. Everybody in their homes, everybody in every business. And that's what I'm showing you. Karen Bass, the mayor of Los Angeles, she's a demon-possessed, corrupt government actor. She's merely a demon that's in a position of authority. All right, stalking in the path on the side of this liquor store, license 8TZ0099. License 8GBD033. While the entity is engaged in the same conduct, flying by my person with a commercial plane and engaging in what is a U-turn, going right back around. They're doing so while I've advanced west on Hope Boulevard. That's what they were doing while I was at the B&G Plaza. That's what they were doing while I was at Euclid Avenue, at 415 North Euclid Avenue, at the Chevron, flying in alignment to me and doing so. No planes are flying northwest to be over Euclid Avenue. None of them. While I'm at Hope Boulevard, they're maintaining alignment by flying west on Hope Boulevard. All you're doing, not only are you analyzing what they're doing with the planes, well, if you're taking off there, then what are you doing west of that location when I'm documenting that there? And if you're taking off there, west of that location, what are you doing northwest when you're on Euclid Avenue flying over Woodside Senior Apartments? At what point are you taking off? At what point are you engaging in taking off, heightening it to the elevation of the sky space? 9KCY194. And my body of evidence provides that ability to do that because it's unmistakable targeting. And they're demons that commit murder. That's my point. 9TSB921. They commit murders. It's a sacrifice unto Satan. 9ARE154 shares in that system of murdering American citizens in the United States. Not less barbaric than what's going on in other countries where the United States would like to distinguish itself as being some sort of moral authority, and we are not. We are not. At all. License 9DLJ689. This is hypocrisy, and it's organized crime regarding what is murder of people that don't have any voice. They certainly don't have the ability to break down the intricacy of this satanic means of targeting someone, not only because of pure numerosity, which is supposed to be intimidating, but it's also with regard to what are the demons doing when they're stalking with light? Like, what is that? Like, what is that if you even notice it? I have to point out things to you that you're not noticing, and it's right there in front of your face. This is what the demon-possessed that think that they're not. They're not elite. They're a bunch of pedophiles that sit around masturbating, looking at people in the nude on the dark web, unbeknownst to them. They're perverts. They're thieves. They're criminals. They're psychopaths, stalking people in the most absurd, demented ways. There is nothing elite about that, or impressive, or powerful. Because what do they do when they're exposed? You're seeing these demons fall apart at the seams. They were supposed to be making me look crazy. You see how crazy they are. You see it in HD. You see it in black and white. They're psychos. They are psychos. These are the demon possessed. They're already dead. License 6XDY433. Monitoring with the minor child, 9MCC936. This little teenager monitoring on his phone. That's Title 18 federal stalking. 9MHY939. License plate. 8JXD295. 9JHU826. 59978V2. SPEC construction. Okay? You're using that construction license to engage in terrorism, you're losing it. That's not what that licensure is issued for. And you are an un-American and engaged in criminal conduct, you're losing that license. And it's public information. 7MCV490, 8NZM130, 7TXK476. All right, and stalking on the opposite side, laying out cones in the middle of the street is no form. This is a demon, stalking in the path, pacing back and forth, and using that large truck as a means of what is light activity with the hazards on. 63207T3, and that is DC Logistics. Gang stalking, while the entity flies over me again with another plane, not a commercial plane. The government's flying over when these smaller planes over me on the opposite side of the street. The commercial airlines are maintaining west, and they're flying and getting in alignment to me, and then making a U-turn. All right, DC Logistics, California 0569089, P.O.C. All right, this is exposing public corruption, and public corruption is relevant to demon possession, the criminal system of federal stalking and monitoring, which is satanic. That's how your demon possession becomes legally relevant, because it's, first of all, state action, and second of all, it's relevant to the malice behind targeting someone. So you are looking at the substance of the thing, not just the appearance of the thing, because the demon possessed are maliciously targeting in ways in which they surmise that you would never even know about. And that's because you're engaged in a calculation to try to murder someone and try to falsely depict their character before you do so. All right? You're going to federal prison while engaging in terrorism using commercial planes. The names of those pilots, the names of those psychopaths, they will be produced. You're going to prison. And it's also relevant to your mental illness. Omnitrans license 1613618. Bus number 1212. You already know that Omnitrans is targeting. When I'm not on that bus, that fake sun's not moving with that bus. That absurd level of psychopathic and idiotic conduct that I document, their pattern of conduct, which is idiotic. Overwhelming to the ordinary target individual. Idiotic to me. It's idiotic. And these are the demons that are obsessed with my vagina. They're idiotic and they're disgusting. License 8YIU960, 9POP275, 32773W1. License EF77N06. That's a demon with a paper plate fleeing down the street. 30346T3. A bunch of sex offenders on the loose, not identified under the law. The threat that they pose, the criminal conduct that they're engaged in, the entity that they're doing it on behalf of. It's the government. It's the government surrounding you, and it's also Satan surrounding you. All right, it's currently 7:55 a.m. This is documentation that is preceded, so I documented plenty of images and screenshots. Because what the entity is doing with planes, the entity is doing so while there is a list published on the Ontario International website about when flights are anticipated to be arriving, which would be, you will be flying in the opposite direction, and that does not include flying west over Euclid Avenue and making a U-turn back over toward Hope Boulevard. And you're flying miles away from the airport. I'm walking down Hope Boulevard, and the Ontario International Airport, which I'm documenting in videos, and the entity videos when I'm on Omnitrans and the fake sun is remaining over me as the bus drives on the property of the Ontario International Airport, and that fake sun moves over that same Ontario International Airport where demons, okay, pay attention. These plane crashes are not accidents, they're acts of terrorism. And they're calculated acts of terrorism. And when the demon possessed are given the orders by Satan, who is a spirit, this is how you know, because how you have a population of people, I don't know these people, but they're engaged in the pattern of conduct. That's how you know that they're demons. That's how you know that I'm not lying. And by the way, Satan doesn't have to say anything. Satan is speaking to you. Well, I don't want to say that, speaking to you, but I mean, the environment, which is demonic, is telling you what they know. And it's also telling you what they're doing. That's how you know that they're demons. I go into a different city. The fake sun's remaining over the Oval Family Community Library from sunrise till sunset. I go to a different city, and the sun is over me there. They all know who I am. Those are demons. Those are demons. What is terrifying is that those demons, they have custody of and they control children that they make into predators that are engaged in predatory conduct even as children. They walk into the bathroom monitoring your vagina. They know what they're doing. This is letting, and I just want to be clear, it's a spirit, and that spirit uses people over and under the age of majority. You have to open your mind and understand what is happening. And that's relevant to malice of a government that could never prosecute a child engaging in what is stalking an adult, that can never prosecute a child for engaging in sexual violence against an adult. Where does that work? But that's what they're doing. They're engaged in gang stalking. It's demonic. License 9GVE687. And that's how that spirit is operating. And that is proven through the engineered light, through the behavioral pattern. And then you're looking at the actor. Who is it that's engaging in it? Whether it's a 7-year-old little demon, or whether it's a 64-year-old demon-possessed psychopath, a sex offender, engaging in that pattern of conduct. There's no respecter of persons. A little 7-year-old, they're a demon. Guess what? That's their parents' fault. That's a generational curse. They're the product of the demons that brought them into this world. And with regard to this nation, unfortunately, you're talking about what is public corruption. And this demonic spirit is what is engaging in this system of surveillance, unbeknownst to American citizens. They don't talk about it. They don't have to talk about it. I am. I'm letting you know what they're all doing. License plate. Gang stalker at the USPS. 9NUL255. Those are the demons that put on USPS vehicles, uniforms, and go around gang stalking all day long. License 00807W2, the same. Gang stalking USPS employees, 37391B4. And it's 7:59 a.m. I already documented the fake sun over me at 1555 East Hope Boulevard. I already documented that. I documented the Ontario Police and the City of Ontario gang stalking me by plane and helicopter while the fake sun was over me at this time during the 8 a.m. hour. At the Ontario United States Postal Service. And I also came back and documented it at this same venue after 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Okay, and with regard to that duration of time, that's how you're able to know that there is no distinction amongst the demon-possessed. They wear United States Postal Service uniforms, and they drive those vehicles. They hold those positions. They get a salary from the government. They're engaged in criminal activity, and they're demon-possessed. Under a fake sun that's sitting over where the United States Postal Service, it's the exact same pattern of conduct. All I've done is, in a logical manner, utilizing legal reasoning, surrounding it with a legal framework so that it can be prosecuted, is showing you what is a spiritual truth regarding the enemy who is a spirit, regarding the enemy who is a spirit that is engaged in public corruption in the state of California. That's all I've done. It's currently 8 a.m. And I've already documented everything about Hope Boulevard. All they're doing is gang stalking. The foundation is already laid. It is, again, 8 a.m. on September 10, 2020. All right, you will see, again, the entity that is stalking. This is the domestic terrorist Frontier Airlines. And this is acting with the domestic terrorist at the Ontario International Airport. This is identifying a domestic terrorist, Alan D. Wapner, a demon, okay? And the entity is engaging in what is this conduct, and you're never looking at anything in a vacuum. First of all, the fake sun is over me. It's covered up. At 1627 West Holt, where I've documented the fake sun in the morning, in the afternoon, moving over the venue while I'm in traffic on Omnitrans in Tracy Banks' vehicle. The entity is engaged in all manner of targeting, and this is the government. That also inside of that venue where I showed you impossible light activity is present. The government is very much indeed in gang stalking with the state. Frontier Airlines is gang stalking by hovering over while I'm walking in the parking lot at 1627 West Holt Boulevard. And Frontier Airlines is engaging in the ridiculousness as rising in elevation, like they're taking off from the airport and engaging in what is initiating their flight, where this demon is pacing in the parking lot. License plate. Gang stalking immigrants are being deported. Okay, 9FAW855 is gang stalking. Any sort of immigrant status, you're out of here. But the entity's engaging in this pattern of conduct, and they're engaging in this while they're taking off at 1627 West Holt. So what is Frontier Airlines doing over 224 North Euclid Avenue or the 280 North Limit Apartments? Where are you taking off from here as though someone forgot about that evidence because no one did? And this is what I mean by looking at the ongoing analysis of what is clear stalking and also unintelligent the unintelligent system of stalking using planes when you're being prosecuted for it. Okay, and how do you prosecute? With evidence. Evidence demonstrating targeting, stalking, following, okay? Engaging in what is a clear deviation from what has anything to do with the takeoff. If you're taking off from the airport, which is closer right here off of Holt Boulevard at 1627 West Holt, even while Frontier, the truth is, Frontier Airlines is flying away from the airport and then taking off right here where I'm located in the parking lot. But 1627 East Holt, where I'm at right now, is much closer than the 280 North Limit Apartments. So how are you getting from here, feigning a takeoff, which I'm capturing a picture of, and then you're flying, that's about 4 miles, 3.5 to 4 miles away from the airport to be flying over the roof of the 280 North Limit Apartments while the fake sun is over me at the Ovid Family Community Library. Flying over the Ontario Town Square while the fake sun is over me at that venue, where you are looking at both, first of all, the inconsistent conduct of planes that are not taking off in the same manner. You're flying farther away, miles away actually, to then engage in what is hovering over me, which you know it's specific because the fake sun, that supernatural environment where you don't have multiple suns that remain on Holt Boulevard over everyone, everywhere. Everybody that's driving on Holt Boulevard, they don't have the sun moving over them, remaining through the windows of their vehicles. No, that's not. I am unique amongst the demon-possessed that are stalking. And it's very highly unintelligent what they've committed, and they committed it through a body of evidence that I'm going to produce with regard to establishing precedent. Terrorism underway in the United States where the government is practicing satanic conduct, which is relevant to the demons who are in government. Okay, and that is Alan D. WAPNER. That is the entity that is engaging in this conduct. And so if you're taking off here at 1627 West Holt, like Frontier Airlines would like to perpetrate, then what is happening over 706 West Holt Boulevard, west of this location where Delta Airlines is still hovering over me in that parking lot? And relevant context is that the fake sun is over me while Delta Airlines is necessarily flying miles away from what is much closer to the airport to be hovering over my head while I'm engaged in documenting video of it. And the mentally ill that engage in psychological torture and did so on video, did so via podcast, did so in images that are capturing it for a record of targeting and ongoing obstruction of justice in furtherance of a conspiracy to commit murder, where those co-conspirators to murder falsely and imprudently presuppose that you're going to target somebody who's documenting it and you're still going to get away with it and nobody's going to see that. That's the mentally ill that are monitoring genitalia, that are obsessed with genitalia, that salivate and sit around engage in sex rituals and masturbate while they're engaging in what is perverted conduct, voyeurism. Okay, stalking you as a population. Getting up in the morning and scheduling how they're going to gang stalk you throughout the day. Okay, that's the mentally ill that engage in that. All right, this is San Bernardino County that's gang stalking. And the documentation is already sitting on the record. Gang stalking immigrants that are stalking with the government are going to be deported. Gang stalking immigrants that are stalking where they live are going to be deported. Gang stalking immigrants that are gang stalking on the roads and the highways are going to be deported. This is P.O.C. It's 8098. License RF838, that's a handicap. 7YOU 521, 5UDT 368. And it's, I am. I just figured out how they have it. It's him, then them, then him, then me.
Okay, now I'm behind you.
Okay, that's fine. And I'll know that, so if you get out of line, I'm not.
Okay. I got my little Yorkie over there acting like.
License plate 6EPK635 MZAVILA 9HGL773 6LMX993 9EFH194 8WEE830 93853T1 CTANLE. Or you can scratch that one because this one is, yeah, you can scratch that license plate. Substantially similar to that, but because
it's a little blurred. I'm not going to document that one. It is uploaded to the Google Drive, but I'm not going to state the characters because it's blurred. 7JXR324. 9TPF50. Excuse me. 9TPF570. 9JUX328. 7UTX811. 7ZER967. 8SLW500. 8WMP700. 9SUW316. 8LZF141. 7YTL479. 7J. Hold on. 7JAJ938. Again, that's 7JAJ938. 6TWC035. 7BCH361. 8WWR744. 9CNX534. All right, this license plate has everything but the last character, 8VNF41, and that's a Toyota. That's a gray Toyota. I have part of the license plate and the logo of the Toyota, but I can't see the model. And they are a third-party gang stalker at Metro 102 Apartments at 102 North Lemon Avenue. License 8WSG186. License 8, excuse me, license, all right, that is 8XCH878. License 9UOY742. 9EPH171. 7GVT366. 9LAG119. 26U9843. That's 26U9843. 8AXS408. 9EYM119. 9MNA891. 9HFV892.
First floor, door A.
Again, that's 9HFV892. 8HYJ834. 8UDU615. 8UD0615. It's a Toyota Camry, a white Toyota Camry. So it is 8UD0615 or 8UDU615. Nine TDB185. 8AFK200. 59953T3. 7VHN888. 7SJE806. 6UKP832. 7NDY002, 9MAR834, 333V79, that's Nevada, 4Z0Y546, 6AYM429, 7MOW288, 5CRX916, 9BTG977, 8URB548, 7UIX505, 9SPD912, 8VXB538, 8PIL896, 8GNB155, 63693L1, 57885E4.
These are vehicles of the corrupt business Griffith Company.
First floor, door A.
And I remain at State Facilitating Venue, San Bernardino Transitional Assistance Department, and they're monitoring. Hi. Yeah. Okay. It is 9:19 a.m.
All right, it's currently 9:43 a.m. And so the county that is monitoring, again, they're able to call me up to provide the assistance that I'm there at the office for at any time. They're monitoring while they're waiting. And so while I'm in the midst of documenting, that's where they're interrupting. The moment that I play the tape back, the moment that I refer to the fact that they are monitoring is when they call my number. That's relevant to the P.O.C. and also to get me to stop talking about San Bernardino County in particular. That's not a coincidence. While the fake sun is over that county building, as I'm documenting at that office in the afternoon, and the fake sun is in the same position at the same entry doors of 1627 East Hall Boulevard, when it's merely on what is the west side of those same entrance doors. That is what I'm capturing this morning at 1627 East Holt, where the state of California, as the San Bernardino County Transitional Assistance Department proves on the state of California, the San Bernardino County website. This is, again, a facility of, one of the branches of what is the government. The state of California is engaged in criminal monitoring, surveillance, and it's demonic, where the fake sun's remaining over you at that government building. And it's the same when I show you that at the sheriff's department, when I show you that at the police department, when I show you that at the jail, when I show you that at the county hospital, where they're monitoring and have engaged in this same exact pattern of conduct, not different from the demons that are stalking me with impossible light. All right, the entity is engaging in this, and I will continue documenting, reciting on this podcast the license plates of the people of the state stalking me as a population from one place to another, as a demon-possessed and obsessed population who are, again, now being exposed and being shown to be the obsessed population of violent sex offenders and serial killers that they are. The entity is engaging in this while I'm documenting the fake sun that's over me this morning at the county TED office. So number one, I'm going to continue what I was just speaking about, the license plates. I'm going to continue that. But right now, as of 9:43, ongoing documentation. And what you're going to look at are the pictures over that TED office at 1627 East Holt. And you're recalling when I am at that TED office at a later hour, and that fake sun is in that same position over the top of my head. It's just merely to what is my right side as I'm facing what is south from that entrance door. That's the entity that's keeping a fake sun over me at that TED office where surveillance is underway. They already know who you are. They're asking you your information. They're asking you to verify your social as though they don't know. They have to verify to make sure nobody's stealing your ID. That's an illusion. It's public corruption because the government is not exposing the fact that they're engaged in surveillance proven through that specific environment at the facility regarding the government, a venue where the government's engaging in that, proven through the specific environment. And then you're also paying attention, take a step back even from that. Yesterday, Just like I showed you the day before that, coming from Economy Inn at 2301 South Euclid Avenue, the 7:39 a.m. fake sun, while I'm in front of, on Euclid Avenue, the same street, the 60 freeway. And then the next day, which was yesterday, the fake sun at 7:39 a.m. at the Ovid Family Community Library inside of that parking garage. And that fake sun's maintaining that ongoing perfect alignment with me out of everybody else. It's not maintaining that alignment with everyone else, with you in San Diego while I'm standing at 320 North Euclid Avenue. Standing beside the Ovid Family Community Library. It's also not at 2301 South Euclid Avenue. And then today, while I am at the TAD office at 1627 East Holt, the entity kept that fake sun. That's what I put in a screenshot for you. Not only 8 o'clock, 2 hours later at 10 a.m., it's over the entrance of the Ovid Family Community Library. 54683C3 is proven to be engaging in state surveillance and is also a demon, stalking you while a fake sun outside and incongruent with nature, common sense, and science is over a person that is being targeted in a way in which they cannot fathom, define, or prove absent evidence of that which is the P.O.C. These are demons, and that's why the fake sun is remaining over me at now 155 East Hope Boulevard, where I'm documenting this same fake sun in the afternoon after 3 o'clock. That's also evidence proving that that third party is both, you need to understand, they're demons. They're not ignorantly in that environment. They're not ignorantly stalking you with impossible light in that environment. They're not ignorantly present around you while the demons are stalking with helicopters and planes in that environment. And they do so knowledge of who you are, knowledge about your genitalia, knowledge about every detail of your life, and they're violent sex offenders and they're demons who are obsessed with you while they stalk you until they can accomplish murdering you. And the entity covers that up. 7 PLW 857, 9 RPZ 629. The entity is keeping the fake sun over the Ovid Family Community Library, which is not over the entrance of the 155 East Hope Boulevard, United States Postal Service. None of that has anything to do with the impossible light inside of each of those venues. Showing you the pattern of conduct. Okay, and the fake sun leaves from being over the entrance of the TAD office, 1627 East Hope, that's the government gang stalking, to another venue identifying the government, United States Postal Service. Demons that are also stalking with impossible light, as I've documented through the years. Demons that are also stalking with the use of uniforms and vehicles where that same exact P.O.C. remains underway. There is no distinguishing a difference. You're just looking at Satan wearing a different costume. That's it. All right, it's P.O.C. They're engaged in monitoring while that fake sun remains over me, and that's how you're going to engage in the federal RICO case regarding the malice of a demon-possessed government and a demonic government system that is serving to target and keep under surveillance and psychologically torture American citizens. And that's the significance of a fake sun following me as I'm en route to your establishment where you don't have any protection under the Constitution. Hello. This is P.O.C. It's 9:49 a.m.
Erica Lorraine Spencer here. The following is an audio version of video evidence that is captured for purposes of mass distribution, which is why I am capturing it and sharing it on the podcast for evidentiary purposes and also to reveal the wealth of documentation that extends beyond what it is that I document on podcasts. Much of the video and images will be published onto the YouTube channel, the P.O.C., and it is also shared on the Google Drive. Again, this is for purposes of revealing what I remain subject to, which is federal group stalking and monitoring. It is a demonic system of state surveillance that the government is practicing in concert with the people of the state, and it should be known and well understood that for the government to engage in federal group stalking and monitoring, this is a crime that is committed with a criminal purpose to threaten the life of an American citizen. This is to conspire to murder and or permanently kidnap an American citizen while engaging in a perpetual sex offense in concert with the people of the state. All right, this is Southwest Airlines at 10:10 a.m. engaging in the ridiculousness as though they're taking off right here at the intersection of Vineyard and what is Hope Boulevard when they're doing the same thing at the same time at Ontario Town Square, where they're not flying west. They're flying 4 miles northwest to be over the Ontario Town Square at the same time, where what's over in the opposite direction of my person, while I have to face what is east, is not over the Ontario Town Square, which is this light source where you're identifying targeting by Southwest Airlines, which is targeting by the Ontario International Airport. Union Pacific Railroad track, the City of Ontario's gang stalking using interstate commerce, the corrupt use of the railroad tracks, and it's demonic while the entity sounds the train that is not going to be heard inside of Tracy Banks' apartment.
Like I've documented, it's not going to be heard inside of the vehicles off of G Street and Euclid around Tracy's apartment. It's not going to be heard in front of the Ovid Family Community Library. The entity is maintaining a massive means of audible activity while a fake sun remains over me. And this is not over the entrance of the Ovid Family Community Library. Okay? And also that, what Southwest Airlines is doing is showing what is targeted while the fake sun's over my head. At what is the Circle K Vineyard and Hope Boulevard. And you're going to pay attention because right over here is 111 North Vineyard Avenue where the Starbucks is located, where I'm staying at 1841 East Ramada. The entity is keeping as I'm arriving at Starbucks right there at 111 North Vineyard Avenue at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And you have the fake sun that is remaining over me in a manner that's impossible, such that in the natural environment, this fake sun is going to stay at this location and then migrate north up Vineyard Avenue to be directly over the roof of that venue where I'm documenting the fake sun over me at the facilitating venue of Starbucks at 111 North Vineyard Avenue. Excuse me if I said Euclid. It's Vineyard. This is where I'm done, and this is where I'm documenting the entity keeping the fake sun over me while I'm staying at Ramada, which is off of G Street, which is north of this location, where the entity is keeping the fake sun as I'm documenting after 11 o'clock in the morning, where I'm documenting after 4 o'clock in the morning. The entity is engaging what is deviating from it, being over the Ontario Town Square, being over the Ovid Family Community Library entrance, where you've seen the City of Ontario stalking me specifically, as you are aware of the fake sun documentation, as you're aware of the documentation, that's not sunlight, right? And you're aware of the entities stalking and targeting through planes and helicopters, fire, police, and ambulance. All right, this is again the entity that is targeting at the intersection of Vineyard and Holt, okay? And there is no bus that I'm on where the sun is moving through the window of that bus. And you see the fake sun remain stationary over me. You see the fake sun deviating from remaining over a venue where I'm sitting at all day long. You see the evidence of a population of demons who are engaged in targeting one person whose ID they know. They know exactly who I am. They know what I'm doing, and they know what's going on between my legs. They're violent sex offenders, and they're going to be prosecuted as violent sex offenders who are gang stalking. This is Federal Group Stalking and Monitoring, and it's 10:14 a.m. The entity stalking at the Ontario Town Square at 9:53. What is 10:03, 10:13, and 10:17 a.m. on video, while the Ontario Police repeatedly flew in circles over me by helicopter as I documented walking into the entrance of the Ovid Family Community Library, which isn't going to be over the Circle K. It's not going to be in the window of the Omnitrans bus. It's not remaining over me in Hesperia at the Holiday Inn, which is where I'm remaining at this time of year in 2024. It's not over Alvarado Gardens where LAPD is gang stalking me by helicopter under the fake sun at the same time of year. It is certainly not over that same location or over all of us everywhere at the same time. While it's over the Ontario Town Square, it's sitting over Starbucks to be there at 1 o'clock like I documented when I'm in front of that venue, and they're gang stalking me at Starbucks. No, the sun is not ubiquitous. The sky is ubiquitous. The sun is not. This is speaking to the demonic means of identifying targeting by a state, a government. And those are demons that are in office in California. And these are demons that are sharing in the conspiracy to commit murder. They go out by the name of Coors, Gate City, Circle K, 76, Jack in the Box, Starbucks. All right, they're engaging in what is the pattern of conduct. They're all monitoring me together. All of them. Every establishment, every person. This is P.O.C. All right, it is currently 10:17. Well, now it's 10. Oh no, I'm on the phone. It's 10:18 a.m. That's a third party that's monitoring. She knows, but she's just being conversational, which is monitoring. Anyway, 1840 East Holt Boulevard is where I'm at, where the video you just listened to. The fake sun is over me, and I'm referring to the video where you will see the evidence of demon possession, and also the system exposing public corruption, while an American citizen is being targeted by a corrupt police department, while at 10:17 a.m. the fake sun's over me at the entrance as I enter into 215 East C Street, and I'm documenting today at 10:17 a.m. and now 10:18 a.m. at 1840 East Holt. The entity is engaging what is keeping the fake sun over me here, which is what I captured on video. You're seeing the targeting underway by the gang stalking airport, by the gang stalking people of the state, by the gang stalking businesses who represent the people of the state. It's 10:18 a.m. This is P.O.C. at 1840 East Holt. That's the Jack in the Box, and that's the Circle K, the 76 at the intersection of Vineyard and Holt. P.O.C. All right, license. Gang stalkers 61557A4. These are demons that are gang stalking at Vineyard and what is Airport Drive, where I'm on Omnitrans Route 61 And this is the entity that is stalking, evident through a fake sun. A supernatural environment surrounds me, literally follows, pursues me. That is documentation of terrorism while I'm in the United States. So this is domestic terrorism while I'm subject to the pattern of conduct. And I'm going to capture video of that right now. It is currently 10:21. You're going to see the fake sun turn as the bus turns from the driver's side of the bus to now the passenger side. Again, in position at the front of the bus where I am positioned. This is the ongoing consistent documentation. License 7JCJ634 is stalking. There's no sun that's remaining over the entrance of the Open Family Community Library. That is the identification of targeting by the City of Ontario, where the entity is engaging with a stalking by commercial planes, Southwest Airlines, Amazon Prime Air, Frontier Airlines, Delta Airlines, Alaska Airlines, UPS. The entity that's gang stalked by FedEx Airlines. The entity is doing so while that fake sun is an identifier regarding who demons in commercial airline planes are targeting. And this goes for the Ontario Police Department as well, where I'm capturing the ongoing conflict pursuant to the placement of the sun, not just its location, but its ongoing presence over me while I am remaining at an address such as the Economy Inn, remaining checked in for over 2 weeks. And that fake sun did not leave from the roof of that Economy Inn. It doesn't remove itself from being over the entrance at the Economy Inn like you saw yesterday from 8 to 10 a.m. upon my entrance. And yet while I'm on Omnitrans Route 61, a bus that I am on in the evening on June 3rd, 2025, coming from the city of Fontana, and in the window of that bus, I'm capturing the fake sun at Jennifer and San Bernardino Avenue. This is the same route going toward Fontana. That's the P.O.C. identifying it. Like the sun is going to remain over one specific route over everyone. In other words, throughout the entire state, while I'm going from Ontario to Fontana, and I'm showing you that pattern of conduct of stalking with the fake sun. The fake sun is over where the terrorist Alan D. WAPNER calls himself president of Airport Authority. 23774Z3, gang stalker, FedEx. Fake sun, they're engaging in light activity. As you see the supernatural phenomenon, you recognize the behavioral pattern. This is how the entity are engaging in what is stalking, engaging what is terrorism with impossible light, which license 9ERP635. And this is the entity that's doing so relevant to the federal government. TSA is here gang stalking. The Ontario Police Department, they are, again, you'll see on their website, they are present at the Ontario Police engaging in what is criminal summoning, as corrupt law enforcement is shown to be engaging in what is domestic terrorism. You're not working at the airport, you're engaged in gang stalking. License 1AYCR2U, that's an out-of-state license plate. They're targeting me with impossible light on the bus, and they're targeting me specifically while the fake sun is over me. That's a demon that knows who I am with regard to that fake sun. They're capturing them on video right now. This is the entity that's doing so in an environment that's irreconcilable with being over 215 EC Street. All right, the entity is keeping the fake sun over Hesperia in 2024 over my hotel room. From the beginning until the end of the day, it never leaves Holiday Inn at 9750 Key Point. And this is the entity that keeps the fake sun where a casada, a sex offender, a homosexual sex offender, is monitoring my vagina inside of the bathroom where the fake sun is present, as I'm documenting yesterday from 7:39 a.m. until what is at least 12:13 p.m. where she's outside of that same venue, and the fake sun is over the same entrance that it is when I enter at 10 a.m. where the Ontario Fire are stalking at 9:59 over that entrance. This is the entity keeping the fake sun. It's 10:25 a.m. I'm nowhere near the library today. The entity's keeping it on Hope Boulevard, up east and west up Hope Boulevard. Again, that license, 1AYCR2U, a red, white, and blue license plate. That's the entity that is stalking with impossible light. That's an act of terrorism, and it's a sex offense while the entity molests, and it's also pursuant to specific knowledge of who I am and what I'm doing. And it's also federal stalking under Title 18, surveillance. This is P.O.C. This is the entity keeping the fake sun over the Ontario International Airport, where, by the way, you're not taking off from this airport and hovering over the Ontario Town Square. You're not taking off from this airport and hovering over the Economy and flying south. The entity that's gang stalking, as you see Southwest Airline planes here, taking off from this airport, never includes flight over the Ontario Town Square in the manner that I'm documenting while it's occurring, again, under the fake sun. This is the prosecution of the state of California, and this is a consistent body of evidence proving not only targeting, but this is satanic, and it is that which is committed with the intent to commit murder, and what precedes murder is a program of psychological torture. DLA 5LY, that's Arizona, 682VP, that's a handicap plate. They're crossing path under the fake sun. They're stalking using what is public transportation, 8NNM601, and the Alan D. Wapner is a domestic terrorist, a sex offender, a demon who is in a position of leadership over Omnitrans, public transportation, and the Ontario International Airport, both engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring. It is currently 10:26 a.m. The bus is now driving in the opposite direction on Airport Drive, 9PGW 808, 9SBU 463, and the fake sun remains outside of the window, not remaining over everyone everywhere, not moving east and west and north and south over everyone everywhere, not rising and setting over one street, over one person as they documented. This is the evidence of a population of demons that have conspired the murder of an American citizen that documented it, and it's proven through that supernatural environment that remains around me, and it's the prosecution of the government and the people of the state that are in the shoes of the government, not private citizens. This is P.O.C. All right, I'm documenting videos. You can hear me capturing that, and the fake son is driving. While the third party is operating the bus. This is a third party. Actually, it's a state actor because they're an employee of Omnitrans, which is a state actor. So while this state actor is operating the bus, it's driving on Airport Drive, and that is going in the direction east onto the grounds of the airport. Fake sun through the window, not missing, not skipping one moment, keeping in perfect alignment with me, which is what it's doing at 6:39 in the morning on Euclid Avenue. Never leaving from being over me, whatever building that I remain in. It's never in Florida while I'm documenting this. It's 10:27 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. It would be 1:27 p.m. Eastern Time. So I want to be clear, Eastern Standard Time. The entity is engaging in what is keeping a fake sun in a manner that is incongruent with what's going on in the rest of the country, let alone the rest of the world. And that is also the conclusive evidence that the state of California is engaged in a satanic targeting system. This is criminal surveillance, and it's demonic. And the entity is conspiring murder after the entity has committed egregious criminal conduct and then tried to engage in gang stalking to cover it up. That is conspiring my murder by gang stalking me. And it is proven through a fake son that's clearly departing from being over the kidnappers, the sex offenders of the Ovid, quote-unquote, family community, end quote, library. They're going to federal prison for committing kidnappings, for repeatedly engaging in criminal summoning, because they are engaging in what is surveillance of evidence, and as violent sex offenders and co-conspirators to murder, committed kidnapping and acts of harassment and terrorism to obstruct that justice. That is what is relevant with regard to a fake sun remaining over the Ontario International Airport, where you're looking at the terminals, where you are necessarily flying miles through the city to then hover over Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue, to then hover over the Woodside Senior Apartments, where I'm also showing you the fake sun is over the top of my head at those locations, not just at the same time, but all day. It doesn't ever leave. It rises and sets. This is where you're looking at the entity engaging in massive surveillance, and they are all demons, every single last one of them. That's what you need to know. The public officials are demons. Every mayor, they're demons. All of the council members throughout the state, they're demons. Every chief of police, every police department, and the sheriff's department, every county sheriff, they're demons. Okay? The assistant under that chief, they're demons. The population, the people of the state that are monitoring, the people driving the buses, the people flying the planes, they're demons. This is P.O.C. It is currently 10:29 a.m. All right, the entity has the fake sun while I'm documenting a kidnapping on June 16, 2022. The fake sun is over me on Omnitrans at the intersection of Archibald and Inland Empire. Yeah, which is the pattern of conduct. And this is a documentation that also has a historic foundation. I've been documenting gang stalking on the roads and the highways, which is relevant to interstate commerce, as the state of California is in violation of Title 18, Section 22618, subsections 1 and 2. And they're doing so while they're both engaging in gang stalking, which is monitoring. It's demonic. As they engage in the elements of monitoring, they're in violation of federal stalking statute Title 18, 22618, both subsections. And while they are engaged in surveillance using communication devices, using technology, this is surveillance, while an entity is engaged in what is stalking me, and I'm documenting and providing proof of the fact that the government is indeed engaged in stalking me as a population. Okay, and that's what's significant when the entity is maintaining planes on Euclid Avenue. And as I walk down Euclid Avenue and go from venue to venue, and I go to walk through the parking lot and walk down what is Lemon, and the entity is flying over the Metro 102 apartments, stalking by planes, crossing path. And then I go down Hope Boulevard, and the entity is flying over, flying west in alignment with me repeatedly, plane after plane. And then when getting in alignment with my person, making a U-turn and going back in the opposite direction, that's the entity that's stalking by planes and literally following the trail that I'm walking on. And they do that also while I show you the evidence of what is impossible to be the sun. even if I were to not capture the same location 6 hours later and you see the sun, you in Florida can testify to seeing the sun over the top of your head. And that is evidence of what is not the natural environment. We are not looking at the same object from across the nation. That is not the sun. The sun is a gaseous ball of fire in constant movement. California is engaging what is keeping a fake sun on the east side of a building that I'm inside of and on the west side of that building in the evening, which is underscored when I stay at that building, whatever building that is. That's the entity that's engaging in surveillance and violent sexual conduct, sex acts, which is speaking to perverts, which is speaking to predators, which is speaking to psychopaths. And they fill the population. All right, it is currently, again, 10:32 a.m. This is gang stalking happening amongst public transportation on a bus. And it's relevant to interstate commerce. This is violation of the same federal stalking statute. This is P.O.C.
All right, this is Jennifer. I'm here after 5 p.m. on the same route on June 3rd, 2025, San Bernardino and Jennifer. And the fake sun is over the bus. This is 9720 Jennifer. The fake sun's still over the bus. It's on this side. That's not sunlight, and this isn't the sun. This is gang stalking happening. 7XVD318. The people of the state gang stalking where they live. The fake sun's reflecting off of their windshield, but yet it's remaining over the entrance of the Ovid Family Community Library. No, this is an environment that's conducive to monitoring. They don't have any shelter where they live. They have no shelter in any sort of establishment. Neither does the government. The fake sun over the police departments, the sheriff's departments, the jails, the prisons, the hospitals, where they're kidnapping and engaging in that pattern of conduct. This is Mallory and Jennifer, and this is Route 61, and this is street for street, turn for turn stalking under a fake sun where I remain subject to surveillance. It is currently 10:59 a.m. This is P.O.C. Alrighty, this is the fake sun over me. This is at the intersection of Sierra Avenue and Ceres. That's the Fontana Metrolink train station. Alright, the entity is engaged in monitoring right now. This is crossing path when you're understanding the context of a supernatural object remaining over me ceaselessly throughout the duration of the day, not just from city to city. And this is a statewide pattern of conduct. Remember, the entity is engaging in the pattern of conduct in multiple counties and cities that I've documented, while that behavioral pattern shared by the corrupt law enforcement agencies exposed as engaging in criminal surveillance and demons in doing so. And so are the people of the state. 7HOU718, 9UXR 486. Look at the fake sun through their front windshields. That's not over the entrance of the Ovid Family Community Library. It's not on Euclid Avenue. It's not going to be over Economy Inn. It's remaining directly over me, though, while I'm on the bus. The entity is engaging what is keeping that light source over me from city to city, which is a pattern of conduct by the state. And I've documented the fake sun at the Fontana Metrolink train station at all hours of the day as well. The city of Fontana is engaged in monitoring. The Metrolink is a function of the city of Fontana. The Omnitrans, San Bernardino County, is a function of the city of Fontana that's engaged in the P.O.C. The evidence shows that the fake sun is already supposed to be over the Fontana Lewis Library, and it is not while it's remaining over me in Ontario. This is going to the city of Fontana, showing you that it is a ceaseless pattern of conduct by the state of California. This is P.O.C. This is surveillance. 11:09 a.m. While the fake sun is right here over the window. Alright, this is indeed the fake sun. That's supposed to be sunlight. It's not sunlight, it's stalking with light, it's demonic, and so is this fake sun. P.O.C. Alrighty, you're looking at Satan's posing as best as he can before the camera under the fake sun, putting children in the line of the camera, 9TRW667. This is pacing as they're going in opposite directions, and they're doing so with communication devices. They're creating light activity while they're under a fake sun, and none of this is sunlight. The entity's keeping the fake sun over the Ovid Family Community Library, okay? This is where I'm going every day. That's why I'm using that. I have documented substantial amount of cities and counties where the entity's engaging in this. Keeping it over me. Now I'm in Fontana, a grand departure from it being over the entrance, and you already know that that's not the sun because it remains over that entrance. It's still outside of that entrance after 6 p.m. This is the Fontana Lewis Library, where a bunch of demons are stalking and holding the hands of children which is showing those that they're engaging in sexual violence with, they're engaging in terrorism with, and they do so with that government that's sounding sirens. That's called criminal summoning. These are demons that are monitoring. And the entire San Bernardino County, which is what Fontana Lewis Library is engaged in criminal monitoring. This is demonic. These are demons. These are demons, and this is the system of gang stalking. Satan doesn't have a race. Okay? All colors of the rainbow engaged in the satanic system of monitoring. And Fontana and Ovid Family Community Library, those two libraries are not the same location. The sun's not going to be over the roof of both of them, and the sun's not going to be over me at the entrance of both of them at the same time or at any point of the day. It's mutually exclusive what I've documented in the city of Fontana and the city of Ontario. And the city of Fontana is east of the city of Ontario, and you have the entity that's engaged in what is pacing and engineer light. And these are the demons that commit kidnapping at Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue. Ocean is going to federal prison, okay? The entity's keeping the fake sun over me on Euclid Avenue in Ontario, where that entity engaged in kidnapping. With the entity, it's the same entity that's sounding sirens, that's monitoring me while that fake sun's over me. That's understanding what Michael Gerken, Alan D. WAPNER, Michael LORENZ, what they're doing in Ontario under a fake sun. This is P.O.C. It is 11:25 a.m. And I'm documenting this fake sun over this same entrance after 5 p.m. Look at my documentation through 2022, P.O.C.
All right, it's 11:55 a.m. And this is, again, the type of criminal activity, the type of malicious conduct that exposes the demons as they are. People with severe mental illness, people who are engaged in maniacal conduct, people who are engaging in conduct that they are shameful to speak of, that is shameful to speak of openly. And that's behind what is the evidence of what's occurring inside of the Fontana Lewis Library. Impossible light activity is fanning about on the inside, which I've already documented inside of this venue. It's not new, and I've already established it as a fact, so I'm not making up anything. But literally, as I'm inside and it's so quiet, everyone's focused, got their nose in a book. They're all demons, and they're all stalking. That's why a fake son followed me from Ontario to this specific address. And that's why the entity is stalking with impossible light. They're nothing but demons. And while you're looking at the outside appearance, everybody's so studious and so invested in their children and giving their little kids books, and they're out studying and tutoring, and they're playing around in the nice facility issued by San Bernardino. They're monitoring while impossible light is fanning on the wall behind me. While I look up, that's where the impossible light appears. Okay, and that's relevant to what are demons that are monitoring, knowing what direction you're looking in, knowing the moment that you look at it, while they're all sitting around stalking. The impossible light activity is evidence of severe mental illness, severe, life-threatening. All right, it is 11:57 a.m. and the evidence, the proof of mental illness, the evidence of stalking with impossible light inside of this venue, is the presence of a fake sun. And now all of a sudden it's in Fontana, over me in Fontana. The entire route to Fontana, to the Fontana Lewis Library. Is there a sun that's sitting over the entrance of the Ovid Family Community Library? Not in a natural environment. Not at the same time. The two are mutually exclusive. The only thing that is ubiquitous is the sky, meaning it's everywhere all the time. No matter what direction you go, no matter what direction you're looking in. That is not the sun. And that's what the demon-possessed are shown to be, stalking an American citizen amongst. And they're not only unintelligent, they are maniacal psychopaths. As I look up, that's where impossible light activity appears in the direction that I'm looking. These demons are engaged in hovering, obsessive, detailed, diligent stalking. Literally my physical movement. And the entity is doing so while a bunch of demons are not looking at you, not talking to you, not having any sort of relationship to you, don't know any of them, but they all know who I am while they're engaged in monitoring. Gang stalking is just a term with regard to people, more than one, that are engaged in what is stalking one person together. Gang stalking is the product of what are demon-possessed people who are surrounding a person that they are stalking together in a demonic environment. And that's relevant to the stalkers that want to psychologically torture the one person that they are stalking together. And those stalkers are all sexually obsessed with that person that they're stalking. And they also want to murder them. And that's the reality of what the demon-possessed are doing, and it's state action. This is where they're also engaged in gang stalking, monitoring in the bathroom. That is criminal surveillance. Sex offenders engage in surveillance in bathrooms. And what is a focal point in a bathroom? Your genitalia. You're not doing anything other than engaging in sexual violence at the Fontana Lewis Library, okay? Like I documented well before 2025. And the sex offender engaged in documented acts of obstruction of justice, and it's sitting on the record, and the same policy shall apply. It's 11:59 a.m. P.O.C.
All right, it is currently 12:13 p.m. If you recall the documentation of bathroom monitoring, which is exposed amongst corrupt law enforcement agencies who are not police officers, they're violent sex offenders, and they're co-conspirators to murder while they're engaged in criminal surveillance, stalking, monitoring, which is demonic, doing so in clear violation of American citizens' privacy rights, their constitutional rights, their human rights. And the Ontario Police Department is engaging in bathroom monitoring. This, like I stated in that video, every word that I stated is the absolute truth. And the entities engaging with us, she is a Casada of the Ontario Police, and her two partners. They're all demons. They're wearing Ontario Police Department uniforms, badges, bearing weapons while they're stalking, monitoring a woman in a bathroom, engaging in a sex offense, which is proven, while the fake son is over me at the Ovid Family Community Library. It's 12:14 and I'm capturing video right now of the fake sun that is not over the entrance of the Ovid Family Community Library, as it's over my head in the same way that it was upon my arrival during the 11 a.m. hour. And as I've documented before this time, before 2025, at the same time of year and outside of daylight savings time, while it's remaining in this same manner, and in that conflicting manner when I stay in and I go to the city of Pomona, and I stay in Ontario, the entity's keeping the fake sun at the same time over the entrance of the Fontana Lewis Library. And you're looking at the context, you're looking at monitoring with minor children, you're looking at demons that are engaging in public corruption, contributing to the delinquency of minors, stalking in bathrooms with minors, monitoring the vagina of another person, another woman, while you're using children, which is not making you look less of a sex offender, not making you look like less of a demon. This is exposing that pattern of conduct where the Ontario Police in Casada. She is indeed a homosexual sex offender while she's engaged in monitoring my vagina, while doing so with the people of the state by criminal summoning outside of the building of the Ovid Family Community Library, where the sun is over the entrance of that library, and it is not simultaneously over in the city of Fontana over the Fontana Lewis Library. And that's what you hear me speaking very clearly while they are monitoring me in concert with the people of the state who are pacing. Because that's what you're doing in Engineer Light. That's what you're doing under a fake sun. That's what you're doing with the entity that is gang stalking wearing police uniforms. And in California, criminal surveillance is underway. And that criminal surveillance includes that which is in the bathroom while homosexual women are stalking in the bathroom. And I've also documented that. Egregious sexual violence at the Fontana Lewis Library. It is currently 12:15 p.m. Casada, the Ontario Fire Department, American Medical Response are engaging in criminal summoning while I am documenting that pattern of conduct, which is sexually violent, mentally demented, all right? And it's also psychologically harmful. And this is the evidence that is putting those kidnappers in particular in federal prison. It is evidence that is exposing the entire state of California that's engaged in this satanic system of targeting. This is the asininity of keeping a fake sun over the same building for the duration of the day and then just going to a different city and showing you that same pattern of conduct. However, it is mutually exclusive with regard to what could have possibly been over that other building in that other city for the duration of the day, where the sun is not sitting over any building anywhere in a natural environment for the duration of the day. This is surveillance that the people are engaging in. And while the entity is keeping the fake sun over the Ovid Family Community Library, that's how you know that that's not sunlight. That's how you know that none of this is sunlight. And it's also not sunlight while it ricochets on the walls inside of this venue, where you're looking at what is monitoring on communication devices with the people of the state. Okay, this is P.O.C. And where the people of the state are engaging in monitoring were corrupt government buildings like San Bernardino County, Fontana Lewis, where the entity is gang stalking at every business establishment. So is the government. The Fontana Police Department is gang stalking. I've already documented them. San Bernardino County Sheriff, which I believe they now have an office over here, they're monitoring. I've already documented them. On the roads and the highways as well. This is P.O.C. All right, and this is referencing the bathroom monitoring that the Ontario Police, who are obsessed with my vagina, while they are monitoring me in that private space with the people of the state who are pacing in and out of that bathroom while maintaining ongoing surveillance while Ontario Police are outside of that venue. And Ontario Fire and American Medical Response join in by using sirens and lights, which are demons monitoring light activity, relative positioning,
And where public corruption is underway, demons surmise that if they wear uniforms and badges and have authoritative positions, that you will never question what is corruption and a violation of your human rights and constitutional rights. And that is an unpersuasive and unconstitutional position to hold, and it is the prosecution of the state of California. This is P.O.C. It's currently 12:17 p.m. That horn coexists with me touching my phone screen for the first time. These are demons. They're all monitoring. Okay, and it's not limited to the age of majority. You're witnessing the fake sun moving as I move, and that entity is engaged in that P.O.C. This is Fontana, Lewis. This is P.O.C. All right, capturing that video, and that is again in reference to what the Ontario Police are engaging in. And remember, the Ontario Police is relevant to what the entire state of California is doing. I'm honing in on one piece of evidence to make to draw on what is an illustration regarding a criminal pattern of conduct that is clearly identified even further when you are in that specific environment engaging in that P.O.C. And predators that engage in criminal conduct by hiding behind children, the same children that they're having sex with, they're engaged in while they're sharing in that criminal system with those children. Those are the cowards that are engaging in criminal monitoring. Criminal monitoring is inhumane and unconstitutional, and it's also demonic. The entities engaging in this P.O.C. while gang stalking at the Fontana Lewis Library. I'm at the entrance, and now I'm walking toward the back portion of that same library. The back portion of the library is where the entity keeps the fake sun over me, and that's why I'm also showing you what is not in Ontario. It's not over the entrance of the Ovitt Family Community Library, and this is stalking that's happening. As I'm showing you, it's stalking inside of the 7-Eleven, it's stalking inside of the Stater Brothers grocery store, it's stalking while I'm inside of Tracy Banks' apartment, it's stalking while I'm inside of the Ovitt Family Community Library, it's stalking when I'm inside of my hotel room, and it is stalking while I'm showing you a fake sun, identifying a bunch of demons who are keeping you under surveillance in a readily identifiable environment. Yeah.
Don't speak in loud. Your voice is low, please.
You came all the way over here and told me that?
No, your voice is loud.
Okay, I'll lower my volume. Thank you. That's audible activity and engineer light. And this is an entity that's engaged in what is stalking under a fake sun. She's coming in close proximity and engineer light. That's the security guard that's monitoring. This is what Ovitt Family Community Library does while they're stalking with amplified noise. Not a distraction. The entity is keeping the fake sun and is doing so pursuant to that pattern of conduct. This is Spring Street and what is Sierra, excuse me, this is the back street right here, Seville and Spring Street right here. And the entity moves the fake sun from the entrance of the library to the back portion of the library as I walk to the opposite end. And this is an extensive library. That's the entrance where the entity has the fake sun. Everybody in here is monitoring. Nobody in here is being disruptive with my volume. This is the focus. Okay, and that's the entity that uses that as a means of what is monitoring. Oh, excuse me. Can you lower your volume? That's called audible activity and engineer light. There's no sunlight in here when it's over the Ovitt Family Community Library. Okay? And there is no sun that's going to be over this roof, let alone. It's very detailed, going from the entrance to the back. Pay attention to what the entity is doing at the Ovitt Family Community Library, from the entrance to the back of that library that's facing the College of Laverne University of Law. As I walk in, rapidly moving, this is the evidence of stalking under a fake sun, stalking by a population, and this population is demon-possessed. The demon-possessed are not disrupted by my volume. The demon-possessed are psychopaths and engage in monitoring you in any and every way, and they stalk in bathrooms. They are obsessively engaged in sexual violence, and they're doing so at the Fontana Lewis Library, where I'm documenting the fake sun that is remaining literally in this position after 4, 5, and 6 p.m. This is gang stalking. Outside and inside, and they are targeting with impossible light, as I've also documented inside of this little area right here. While they're targeting with impossible light activity, I've already documented that. While this fake sun, after 5 p.m., in perfect alignment with me on this same street, and that's a demon wearing a security uniform talking about, oh, can you please lower your volume? While they're monitoring me. All of the city of Fontana knows where I'm at when the fake sun's here. All right, this is coexisting with the Ontario Police at 215 E.C. Street, where the sun is not maintained. You see how it's not across the street over the Party Pho building? It's not on the opposite side of the street, in the same way that it is not over everyone everywhere in the same manner. We are not all looking at the sun from the same angle, looking at this conduct, and everywhere that they're driving and everywhere that you're flying, the sun is remaining over everyone. This is the entity that's targeting. It's shown through that supernatural and ridiculous environment of keeping a fake sun over me, and the documentation is proving that. It's relevant to what is severe mental illness and the conspiracy to commit a murder against an American citizen that's being targeted in the most psychologically harmful and demented way. Okay, they're stalking with light, they're mentally ill, they're violent sex offenders, keeping you under surveillance in private spaces, including obsession with your genitalia. And that's what A. Casada and the Ontario Police are engaging in at 12:13 p.m.
This is the juxtaposition of the Fontana Lewis Library under the fake sun at 12:13 p.m. and the Ovid Family Community Library in Ontario, California at 215 EC Street. This is a documentation of a sex offense, P.O.C. All right, this is 12:22 p.m. The security guard, again, on video I'm capturing that, and it's happening. Engineer light is on the inside of the building, and also the fake sun is over me as I walk on the back onto the inside of the library, going to the opposite end. Fontana Lewis Library is an extensive facility, so it extends, and that fake sun rapidly moves to be at the opposite end over Spring Street, and it's also, again, doing that while it's remaining stationary over the same entrance of the Ovid Family Community Library. This is what I'm capturing, where the entity has the fake sun over that entrance at 8, the same entrance at 10 as I walk in, the same entrance at 12:13 as I walk out, and I'm documenting what is monitoring me while I'm in a private space and the people of the state are walking in and out of that bathroom with regard to maintaining the elements of monitoring. They're gang stalking in a bathroom with the police who are actively engaging in that gang stalking with them, doing it vicariously in that environment where a fake sun shows who is the actual focus. What are you actually engaged? What's the substance of your form for presence and activity creation? Wearing a police uniform and wearing badges and bearing weapons is the evidence which will put you in federal prison, especially where that corrupt agency is engaging in what is not only criminal surveillance, but a documented pattern of kidnapping to obstruct justice and criminal defamation. And that's the Ontario police, who are prosecuted by the evidence of a fake sun remaining over me in Fontana, just like they are while the LAPD is gang stalking in 2024, just like they are while the city of Fontana is gang stalking in 2022, just like they are when the San Bernardino County is gang stalking me in Hesperia in 2024. Okay, the entity is engaging in this, and the specific environment is what is used to analyze and study, but it is also to prosecute and disband the terrorist organization that hates this country in particular. It's not different with the Fontana Police. It is not different with the Los Angeles Police Department. It's not different. However, the Ontario Police crossed the line that the federal government shall address with disbanding in federal prison. And that is the pattern of documented acts of kidnapping. While you're a whole demon dressing up like it's Halloween, like you're a police officer, and you're a demon-possessed gang stalker, engaging in criminal activity that the United States government has not openly announced that it's engaging in, while a constitution, state and federal, still exist. All right? That's what's legally relevant regarding the 2 videos that I just captured. They will be uploaded to the YouTube and also to my website at thisisthepoc.wordpress.com. All right, it is again 12:25 p.m. at the Fontana Lewis Library. This is P.O.C. It is currently 3 p.m. This is the ongoing pattern of conduct as I am demonstrating to you what is the absolute supernatural. I am located at the Fontana Lewis Library, and so just so that you can be aware regarding my location, the Fontana Lewis Library, which is in Fontana, California, it is located at 8437 Sierra Avenue in Fontana, California. The Ovid Family Community Library is located at 215 East C Street in Ontario, 91764. And I have already documented, essentially since the kidnapping in June of 2025, since the Ontario Police and Tracy Banks, the people of the state, engaged in an unlawful eviction for purposes of gang stalking me outside. And this is the entity that did so with Jason Isaac Fields. This is the entity that is continuously targeting me and seeking to falsely depict my character. So trying to associate homelessness with mental illness when the entity is gang stalking me at work, gang stalking me in my home in Los Angeles, where I was forced to resign because the LAPD threatening my life, the people of the state threatening my life, breaking into my apartment, stealing and damaging my personal property, targeting me by the LAPD, who both engaged in gang stalking by helicopters with the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department, Los Angeles Fire, the entire pattern of conduct, which is a threat to my life while I'm on the job. All right, so interfering with my liberty right.
And not only that, the entity then wants to associate what is homelessness with mental illness, which I find when you're aware of what is criminal surveillance as well, and when you're aware of what is targeting by that government that's engaging in criminal surveillance, and then associating what is insufficient under those circumstances, and it also is malicious when that government is directly accountable for your economic status, which is merely economical and has nothing to do with mental illness. In fact, the mentally ill entity that is corrupt, engaging in the pattern of conduct, is mentally ill and is engaging in what is projecting severe mental illness that it suffers from while it's gang stalking. This is the entity that is engaging in what is an unlawful eviction so that they can engage in targeting me while I have been unlawfully evicted from Tracy Banks' apartment where she was gang stalking the entire time. And that's where the entity engaged in an outright departure from having the fake son at any point in the day over Woodside Senior Apartments over me, as I am kidnapped on May 29, 2025. This was committed in furtherance of kidnapping and murder to aid in the criminal conduct that Tracy Banks and Jason Isaac Fields in particular have committed, and the government is engaged in that criminal system with these two demons. And this demonic system is facilitating criminal conduct that these two demons have committed, and the demons in Fontana, California are fully engaging in that demonic pattern of conduct. That is why the fake son is over, again, 8437 Sierra Avenue, over the Spring Street end of the Fontana Lewis Library over my head while I'm inside of the same library where I arrived today during the 11 a.m. hour. The entity is aiming impossible light activity inside of the Fontana Lewis Library. The entity is keeping the fake somewhere I'm arriving during the 11 a.m. hour. 12:12, that's 4 hours later, and it's still sitting over the Fontana Lewis Library. I'm looking at it, it's not going anywhere, and this is where I have already engaged in what is a campaign of documentation of being targeted in Fontana by the city of Fontana, which is the state of California, and this is the shared pattern of conduct by the city of Ontario, and the entity is doing so on behalf of, remember, the demons that are Tracy Banks and Jason Isaac Fields, who are together conspiring my murder, stealing my property, and also stealing my intellectual property, which is also evidence to prosecute this government, prove that it is engaged in surveillance, and also prove that it has long conspired and invested in my murder while seeking to criminally defame my character, relying on the criminal activity of San Bernardino County, repeatedly kidnapping and criminally defaming, and then seeking to falsely depict my character in order to support what are criminal acts committed against me by this government. Jason Isaac Fields maintaining a fraudulent marriage to me on paper that I know nothing about while I'm being gang stalked is relevant. And Tracy Banks maintaining a secret and fraudulently procured conservatorship regarding property that belongs to me and should have been given to me at the outset. And there was never any legitimate investigation regarding me or any criminal activity blamed upon me or any mental illness when I had nothing to do with any of that. I knew nothing about even my property that was already stolen. Well, then the entity committed what is gang stalking, as I am proving hereby, in order to get away with the criminal acts that this government has already committed and to protect these terrorists, Tracy Banks and Jason Isaac Fields, who are going to federal prison. That is directly relevant to what I am subject to, while Fontana knows exactly who I am, and the city of Fontana is targeting me by keeping a fake son over the Fontana Lewis Library, which is not in perfect alignment with my hotel room at the Ramada by Wyndham at 1841 East G Street, where I'm documenting. Remember where I stayed at the American Inn on the night of August 31st, 2025, and then I stayed at the Ramada by Wyndham on Labor Day, September 1st, 2025, and I also went from the American Inn on Euclid Avenue and walked east on G Street and documented that entire time while that fake son remained on that street, G Street, over my head on that street, and then remained in alignment to me outside of my room, which is what I documented on video at 3:14 p.m. on Labor Day, September 1st, 2025. The entity is engaging when it's keeping the fake sign over the Fontana Lewis Library at 8437 Sierra Avenue in Fontana, California. It is 3:06 p.m. What you'll see uploaded to the Google Drive is images, evidence of that, of the city of Fontana engaging in what is domestic terrorism and psychological torture, the sex offense of keeping an American citizen under surveillance in private spaces where an egregious sex offense is committed by the public entity, a whole population, and a government is engaging in what is monitoring my vagina in the bathroom of the Fontana Lewis Library. Violent sex offenders acting with impunity, psychopaths that are monitoring, engaging in stalking in a library, and they're doing so by staring in books as though they're engaging in something else. That's the mental illness of the demon-possessed that are gang stalking. That's the malice of the government that is keeping you under surveillance through the people of the state. And it doesn't matter how learned they want to look with their glasses and studying. It doesn't matter how long they sit there and stare inside of the book. The engineer light is speaking to demons that are gang stalking. The fake sun being in Fontana outside over my head of the Fontana Lewis Library and not mutually at the same time, requiring more than one sun to be over the entrance of the Ovid Family Community Library, to be over Economy Inn in Ontario on Euclid Avenue, to be on G Street where I'm walking toward the Ramada by Wyndham and then checking into my room, and then at 3:14 capturing video of that fake sun outside of my hotel room door. And engineer light, just like what's flying inside of this Fontana Lewis Library, is flying inside of my hotel room, which is never occurring while you're driving on the ground, on the roads, on the while I'm on the third floor above you, and you are engaging in what is crossing path at the same time that that light activity is flying all about inside of my room, because you know who I am, because you're demons who are stalking with light while they're monitoring. And they're engaging what are stalking you in such psychopathic means before they murder you, and they do so as an entity on behalf of their demonic entity, their partners Tracy Banks and Jason Isaac Fields. The entity is subject to federal prison, and it includes Jason Fields and Tracy Banks. There was never any legitimate investigation of myself, and Jason Isaac Fields has committed what is terrorism and psychological torture pursuant to a system that has long existed before his little peon self got a job that he's not qualified for, only because he's targeting me, because he's associated with me, because he's had sexual relations with my mother, Tracy Banks. He's a sexual recruited demon, and he's been engaged in targeting me in order to steal money and property from me, and he is still engaging in that to date. That is why the city of Fontana is targeting. He's going to federal prison, and justice requires that. He's going to federal prison while I retrieve my property, and while I am released from this life in a bubble where the government is still acting in furtherance of the conspiracy to commit murder, and the federal government has not stopped it. The federal government is also subject to a prosecution for what Jason Isaac Fields and the state has committed on its behalf. There was never any legitimate investigation, and what the government has permitted Tracy Banks to do, the federal government is going to be prosecuted for. Okay, this is an entity, and Tracy Banks is a part of that entity. And not only that, Tracy Banks acted while the entity permitted her to continue acting. That's what Jason Isaac Fields represents as well. These are serial killers. Jason Isaac Fields and Tracy Banks have murdered other people. They've engaged in stealing from other people and covering it up through this very system that I'm exposing. The Ontario Police, I'm not the first person that they've sought to target. The Fontana Police Department, I'm not the first person that they've sought to target. I documented them in 2022. While you don't see any Fontana Police vehicles, I haven't documented, you heard criminal summoning though, I haven't documented the entity as of yet, stalking with helicopter like I heavily captured before. But you know that the Fontana Police Department are gang stalking because you already understand the template, because of the idiocy of the city of Ontario, the template. What is always happening when the people of the state are gang stalking? They're doing so on behalf of the state, and they're doing so on behalf of the demons that shall go to federal prison. That includes, at the top of the list, Jason Isaac Fields and Tracy Banks, who stole property from me, who sex trafficked me, who engaged in defaming me, and did so with the government, pursuant to the government's criminal system of surveillance, where they can call in any corrupt agency to engage in targeting me while they're already engaging in surveillance in the United States in order to, let's just say, contain what would be criminal conduct that a corrupt actor like Jason Isaac Fields committed with his sex partner, my mother, Tracy Banks. This demon is delusional. He's still practicing witchcraft. He's still spiritually monitoring me, and he is conducting himself like the delusional psychopath that he is, in need of what are physical restraints and being put inside of a padded room where he is routinely examined regarding his severe illnesses that are mental and physical. Okay, this demon is engaged in what is targeting, and is both engaging in what is targeting me and feigning as though, well, there's some future of us together. He's never going to be in my presence. He's going to prison. And justice requires that he goes to prison while he is restrained as I am released from this system. He's going to be locked down. So is Tracy Banks, Eric Spencer, everybody else that engaged in what is the conspiracy to murder me by defaming my character. The entity's purpose in defaming is kidnapping. The entity intended to take my life, and the facts already show that. The entity has committed attempted murder. The entity is targeting through corrupt law enforcement agencies for that purpose. Those that bear weapons and are gang stalking, they do so that they can be within the perfect circumstance to blow your brains out if they get an opportunity to do so, and control that narrative as to how it's your fault while they're gang stalking you. Okay, that's relevant regarding the fake sun that's at the same Fontana Lewis Library, which I'm going to capture on video. That is not outside of my hotel room at 1841 East G Street, where a bunch of psychopaths that I'm showing you are pacing around inside of the library, monitoring my every move, monitoring everything that I'm uploading to the Google Drive. They're gang stalking on Sierra Avenue. Impossible light activity is flying inside of the Fontana Lewis Library while you're looking at a bunch of demons that are engaging in the same identical pattern of conduct with specific knowledge about who I am and what I'm doing, because they're all engaged in surveillance, which is underway through the entire state of California. And it is demonic, and these are psychopaths and sex offenders who are able to engage in sexual violence because of the corruption of the government that incentivizes sexual violence, that shares in sexual violence, that relies on them to commit sexual violence by stalking you in the bathroom on behalf of that state. That's keeping your genitalia under surveillance in the bathroom. And they do this before they commit murder as an entity. Okay, it is currently 3:13 p.m. Again, the Fontana Lewis Library has the fake sun out at the same venue. Not only is it out in the back of the library, I took a picture of that. It's still going to be over the same entrance that I arrived at during the 11 a.m. hour, which is speaking to stalking by the population and stalking by demons under what is the bullseye for recognizing the crime scene where surveillance is underway, and what are maniacal psychopaths who are engaging in psychological torture, very threatening conduct, while psychopaths are surrounding you, stalking you, and doing so through the corrupt system of gang stalking, because they're supposed to be undercover, they're supposed to be stealth, they're supposed to be unsuspected, and they're not at all. And then you're looking at how they behave themselves. It's not unthreatening or non-threatening conduct while you're stalking me in the library, staring at your phone, or reading a book, or holding the hands of children while you're monitoring every move that I make and everything I'm doing on my device, and you're pacing around like psychopaths under a fake sun and an engineer light. It's entirely demented behavior, which is a threat to your life. They're the same ones that are poised to take your life, and the government cover it up. They are the government that is stalking you inside of any venue. This is stalking inside of a library. That's absolutely terrifying conduct. And it's currently 3:14 p.m. I'm going to capture this video now. Alrighty. I'm going to capture the fake sun out of the Spring Street window, and then I'm going to also capture it outside of the front entrance. So, for purposes of illustration, so you're seeing real-time movement of me from one end of the library to the opposite, and you'll see that fake sun move, while at the same time at 3:14 p.m. on September 1st, Labor Day, when I'm at the Ramada by Wyndham on G Street in Ontario, California, that fake sun throughout the duration of that video doesn't move, and it also doesn't move when the fake sun is setting. Got a whole bunch of demons sitting around in engineered light. If the sun's outside of my hotel room, then there's not sunlight by your legs, on your feet, inside of the library. These are demons that are monitoring. All right, this is video showing you what is Spring Street and Sierra. And by the way, this is the same window where I'm showing you the fake sun during the 11 a.m. hour when I arrived. This is crossing path. And while they're driving in opposite directions, you're recognizing the pattern of conduct regarding what is pacing. Demons that are doing this all around you. And they're doing so while engineer light is flying inside here along the ceiling, while a bunch of people are staring in a library. You're engaged in gang stalking by staring at a book. Okay, they're doing so amongst what is engineer light, and these are demons that are gang stalking. Remember, the fake sun remains through the window of the buses while I'm on Omnitrans, but not while I stay at what venue. Omnitrans is gang stalking while I am not on that bus, and that fake sun remains stationary, contrary to the environment that I'm documenting when I am on aboard Omnitrans. Okay, the entity is maintaining this fake sun on September 1st, 2025, at 1841 East G Street in Ontario, California, where I open up my hotel room, and that fake sun is in perfect alignment with my hotel room. I don't have to zoom out and capture it in the direction which would be like southeast to get it over near the area of the Ovid Family Community Library or anything like that, in which case I wouldn't even get it, because the fake sun is a low hovering object that's not soaring high in the sky like the natural environment would include. The entity keeps the fake sun beside buildings. The entity keeps the fake sun in positions like I'm showing you this outside of my hotel room, which is not in Ontario, not outside of my hotel room on the 3rd floor, facing what is G Street at 1841 East G Street, like I'm capturing on September 1st, 2025. And
accordingly. It's not in the city of Ontario, but it is over the same person, that is myself, while a population is engaged in ongoing movement, vacillation of movement, but non-movement of a fake sun hours later after I arrived here, okay? This is identifying that P.O.C. in Fontana, California, in that little area down here. This area, this is where I was at earlier today, where I am capturing this fake sun inside of the same building, okay? And that's recognizing the demons of the Fontana PD, okay? I'm documenting them gang stalking under the fake sun well after into the evening at the same intersection of Sierra and Arrow. I'm documenting them gang stalking under the fake sun that's setting on this same street after 6 p.m., 9 o'clock in the morning. Officer Turner, that's engaged in gang stalking on motorcycle with no license plate. This is documentation that's going to be published. And they're gang stalking now very foolishly, but those are the idiots that are gang stalking just like Ontario PD, and they're going to be prosecuted for domestic terrorism, and they're acting on behalf of demons like Tracy Banks and Jason Isaac Fields, gang stalking me, and furtherance of whether conspiracy to commit murder as a system exposing public corruption, and they are demons in doing so. Okay, now this fake sun is going to rapidly go from the back, which is Sierra Avenue, to being at the entrance, which is also how you know that not only these are demons who are stalking me specifically, but so are the Fontana Police Department. Okay, this entity is engaging with a stalking light. This is all crossing the path, one demon after another stalking. They're all engaged in the 18th, Title 18, Section 2, Discipline, subsections 1 and 2, and they go in the bathroom to keep in surveillance as well. This is the population of dead people. These people are demon possessed. The fake sun is moving as I move inside of the building to be at the entrance. And I'll show you at the same entrance that I arrived at this morning during the 11 a.m. hour. This is the extensive building, and it's moving as I move to go to be over that same entrance. Okay, that's not sunlight either. It's engineer light. And while the entity does that, not only is the sun not over 1841 East G Street, like I documented on September 1st, 2025, Labor Day, in my hotel room, the entity is keeping the fake sun at one building, and it's not in Florida. Okay, Florida is 3 hours ahead of us. And so in Fontana, at the Fontana Lewis Library, you have again what is this exceptional treatment, this treatment regarding the sun, and you have the entity monitoring with minor children, stalking, being in front is called crossing path. They're tracking your steps, and the evidence that they're stalking the children and tracking your steps is the fake sun that moves to the front of the building. Okay, that's P.O.C. And the Fontana police are stalking. They're also monitoring my vagina in the bathroom while the entity is engaging in what is stalking in the path. This is what the entity is doing, okay? And this is the fake sun that's over the same entrance that it was during the 11 a.m. hour as I arrived. Walking up these same steps in what is engineer light. You see how the light is luminescing in my shadow, but yet it's outside of my hotel room at 1841 East G Street at 3:14 p.m. This is the city of Fontana that is gang stalking just like the city of Ontario. And the city of Ontario and the city of Fontana gang stalking just like the city of Los Angeles, where the entity kept the fake sun from sunrise until sunset. And the Los Angeles Police Department interfering with my right to work and live free of terrorism and the psychological torture, harassment by a public entity that is targeting through the population. This is sexual violence while they're keeping your vagina under surveillance in a bathroom, while they're stalking and engineer light. This is shade, but you have light manifesting here. Understand that this is, again, impossible light activity while the sun's over 1841 East D Street. This is an unintelligent illusion, okay? And the entity is engaging what is tracking everything that I'm doing in the environment. The mental illness is exhibited by the behavioral pattern. Stalking with a method of peculiarized light, flashing of light under what is the fake sun. This is the same location it was at during the 11 a.m. hour. This is P.O.C. It is currently 3:20 p.m. at 8437 Sierra Avenue. The fake sun going from the back portion of Sierra to the front portion, and that is Arrow over there. And I've documented the fake sun coming from Ontario, California, 8 and 9 o'clock in the morning. This is P.O.C. This is a sex offense, and this is committed in furtherance of murder, and this is the prosecution of the state, and it is the federal imprisonment by necessity of what is Tracy Banks and Jason Isaac Fields, who are still targeting while the government is still engaging in this satanic targeting system, which the city of Fontana and the city of Ontario share in. This is P.O.C.
All right. You can hear me capturing that video and the evidence of those demons that are under the age of majority who are stalking, because gang stalking is not based on chronology, meaning who was there first. And it's also not based on your age, or you're not stalking because you're under 18. It's absolutely irrelevant. These are demons, and it's the government that's only requiring presence. And they engage in presence in all sorts of manners. The entities engaging what is tracking my steps as that fake sun moves from the back end of the library to the front end of the library. And those little underage demons are tracking my steps with regard to making sure that they're in the path while they are stalking in a library in the most malicious and psychopathic manner, doing so with children. And they do so pertaining to your genitalia and bathrooms as well. Okay, this is the city of Fontana that is gang stalking. And by the way, the same San Bernardino County is engaged in a pattern of criminal defamation with the Ontario Police. The Fontana Lewis Library is San Bernardino County as well. All right, this is P.O.C. It's currently 3:22 p.m. and the fake sun is at the same location that it was this morning at my arrival. Again, I arrived during the 11 a.m. hour. So let me just go ahead and put it on the record. Well, I did put it on the record because I got it, but let me just recite it again on the record. The time of my arrival at the Fontana Lewis Library, which is, I am taking pictures of the demons stalking in the white Tesla with the hazard lights on, getting out, crossing path, gang stalking with minor children. I'm capturing this at 11:20 a.m. The security guard with the black vehicle, that is gang stalking. I'm in front of the Fontana Lewis Library at 11:22 a.m. with the fake sun over the top of my head. And the entities engage in the same pattern of stalking with the method of flashing of lights. This was, again, the entity engaging in license 9TRW667, stalking with the method of flashing of lights in my path while the fake sun is over me. This is terrorism while a population engages in repeating that pattern of conduct on behalf of the state that is stalking you obsessively and engaging in that, which is psychologically harmful as well. And the security stalking in the path, license 9KFN131, doing so under that fake sun. And that's understanding the context and also the malice of corrupt businesses that are engaging in surveillance and not engaging in legitimate business practices, maliciously engaging in the pattern of conduct on behalf of the state. And this is that which Tracy Banks and Jason Isaac in particular solicited in order to cover up their criminal acts committed against me. And they committed those criminal acts against me as this same entity. I'm going to prosecute the government, and I'm going to prosecute the government for what Jason Fields and Tracy Banks have committed. And they do so, all of it, in order to accomplish what is murder. That's the only reason why Tracy Banks is gang stalking me and Jason Isaac Fields is gang stalking to commit murder. And it's the reason why the P.O.C. is underway in Fontana, California. Okay, they're going to be prosecuted and they're going to prison because of the pervasive nature, because of the ceaseless nature of this pattern of conduct that is committed to commit the murder of, that is committed in furtherance of the conspiracy to accomplish the murder of an American citizen. My ability to document it, my ability to prosecute, their inability to effectively utilize witchcraft while stalking me is under no circumstances going to bar me from justice. So because I am literally surviving what the entity sought to do, you're going to prison for it. You're going to prison. So understand that this is what the entity is doing, and the city of Fontana is gang stalking in furtherance of that criminal system. And the Fontana police that you see on video are engaging in domestic terrorism with impunity before the federal government, and that's relevant to the prosecution of that corrupt agency. The same policy applies. Gang stalking police officers are going to federal prison. It's a policy, it's federal policy, and the entity can be as defiant as they want. You've witnessed it in Ontario, but guess what? They're going to federal prison. All right, it's an ongoing impunity, and they demonstrate and prove how much of an enemy they are to this country. We're not going to bow down and give in to the demands of the corrupt demons who don't even like this country, who don't even have any loyalty to this country, and so you're going to continuously engage in terrorism because you're hostile for being caught, you're hostile for being referred to as what you are, a stalker in a police uniform. And so you pull out helicopters, okay, you're going to federal prison, okay? And your disdain and your disregard, your disrespect to this country and the flag and the Constitution and those principles, as it's demonstrated, as I document you, that's relevant to how many years you're getting. That's relevant to what justice requires. You should be disbanded altogether. All right? Or you're definitely done with law enforcement. I know that. Whether it's disbanding or not, you're done with law enforcement. You're not going to any other jurisdiction. And terrorism is the line, just like with immigrants. Terrorism is the line. You're being deported and you're not coming back. Terrorism is the line. These are domestic enemies. And so the entities engaging in that, you're paying attention to that. That fake sun went from the back of the library to the front of the library, just like I documented at 11:20 in the morning. 12, 1, 2, 3. That's 4 hours later. And that is, none of that is speaking to what's happening in Ontario. On September 1st, 2025, I went from American Inn on Euclid Avenue and I walked east on G Street. And that fake sun did not deviate from being over the top of my head, which I captured. And the entity has the fake sun over me at 244, which I'm reminding you that day about the United States Postal Service at 1555 East Hope Boulevard, where I was at this morning. Okay, during the 8 a.m., before 8 a.m., or excuse me, while I was present during the 8 a.m. hour, and the entity is keeping the fake sun over me at that venue where it's there at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. This is Hope Boulevard, Ontario. This is the end. This is the chicanery, which is documented on a record. None of this is the natural environment. And then you're looking at taking it out of where the entity surrounds me with its center of its universe is me. What's going on in Florida in a natural environment if there's only one sun? How many suns are there? Okay, because the city of Ontario, who clearly didn't pass 5th grade, they definitely shouldn't be a part of law enforcement if they don't have these fundamental understandings. They are clearly exposed as engaging in criminal monitoring, clearly. And they're demons who are very hostile to what is law and order. While you're wearing those badges and driving those county-issued vehicles, you're unfit and you're mentally incompetent. And you are highly delusional to engage in more terrorism when you are caught. And because that's your response, justice is going to be cognizant of that, mindful of that. That's why it's all documented. You're going to play the tape back, in other words. We're going to see what you engaged in as a domestic enemy of this country. It's not a small thing. And contrary to what the entity thinks, that you could just discard somebody and they don't mean anything, and that's a lie to the pit of hell. The demons that are filling them are lying to them. And they've been set up to be used as an example as how terrorism is going to be addressed and how domestic terrorists are going to be targeted in this country. All right, it's currently 3:28 p.m. This is P. Okay, so the sex offenders that are engaged in bathroom monitoring, which is the entity that's engaging in that, where you are looking at what is a fake sun, walking into the bathroom is the government, okay? Doing so while they're maintaining the elements of monitoring with regard to surveillance of your genitalia. And then you're looking at what are, again, homosexual behavior of a violent nature, while gay women are monitoring and obsessing over a woman that they're stalking and over a woman's genitalia that they are keeping under surveillance, monitoring, paying very close attention. The entity that's monitoring my fingers, the entity that's monitoring when I'm blinking are the demons and the homosexuals that are monitoring my vagina. And they're doing so as sex offenders of the male gender as well. And that includes the Fontana Police Department that showed you that they're gang stalking under that fake sun. All right, the entity is telling you everything about itself while it's engaging in that P.O.C. So what you're looking at, I want to point out a couple things. The demon that is entering and engaging in gang stalking in the bathroom, she does so pursuant to the demon that's stalking in the stall. This is an entity that's engaging what is surrounding at all times. So they're maintaining demons in the bathroom. They're maintaining demons all around you. They're doing so with regard to tracking your steps. The tracking your steps is known by the entity that's keeping a fake sun. They're keeping the fake sun over you while they're at all moments making sure that every base is covered, so you are always surrounded in the path. And that's occurring in a bathroom as well. That's egregious sexually motivated violence by psychopaths who are obsessed and addicted even to stalking me. Okay, they're demons. This is demon possession, and this is relevant to their mental illness. This is psychopathic and obsessive conduct, and the entity is doing so on behalf of the government that does so while they also want to, they're sexually obsessed, and they also are conspiring your murder, okay? And this is what Tracy Banks is engaging in. This is what Jason Isaac Fields is engaged in and is invested in, for which they're also going to federal prison for. And the entity is doing so pursuant to what is the city of Fontana that's engaging in that, entering into the bathroom while having elevator music playing on your cell phone, while you cut in front of me to wash your hands. You're stalking in the path. The fake sun is over me while I'm in the bathroom. And that's what you're what you're aware of while I walk from the back of the library to the front of the library, the same library where I arrived at 11, the same library that's not outside of the Ramada by Wyndham on G Street at 1841 East G Street. There's no comparing. There's no mutual, it's mutually exclusive. This is an entity that's engaging what is identifying the crime scene, and the crime scene includes a bathroom where a bunch of demons are stalking, okay? And these are demons that are engaged in concern with your genitalia, violent sex offenders who crouch in bathroom stalls to keep you under surveillance and surround you in a bathroom, and do so with regard to you pulling your panties down, with regard to everything that's going on in that bathroom stall. Those are violent sex offenders that include, again, an incestuous sex offender like Tracy Banks, a psychopathic sex offender like Jason Isaac Fields, who has sex with pedophiles. He is a pedophile, like Tracy Banks. Okay, so this is an entity that's engaging in stalking in a bathroom on behalf of the
the corrupt entity that includes the entity that's acting directly that you see crossing path, showing you that they're demons, the Fontana Police Department. All right, crossing path under a fake sun. Those are demons. And they're driving county issued vehicles, engaging in public corruption, criminal activity while driving those police vehicles. And they're doing so pursuant to a statewide pattern of conduct. And they're doing that while the entity is always providing evidence against its co-defendants. Okay, the city of Ontario is presenting evidence that is prosecuting and corroborating evidence against the city of Fontana, against the city of Hesperia, against the city of Los Angeles, against the city of Bakersfield, against the city of San Diego, okay, et cetera, et cetera. This is what the entity is doing while you are looking at that big picture regarding what's already on the record and what the demons are doing, including what they're doing in bathrooms when they're stalking somebody. And they're exposed as the predators that they are, including the homosexuals that they are. Okay, and the entity is acting as one when they enter into bathrooms to engage in stalking surveillance. And what you see outside of the bathroom, you'll see a psychopath. This is a psychopath that's crouching down, tying her shoes. She's doing so in the middle of the hallway where I have to walk in order as I exit the bathroom. That's the entity that's stalking. This is what the entity is doing. I took a picture of this same method of stalking while I am surrounded inside of the bathroom, and I'm surrounded as I walk out of the bathroom, obsessively maintaining presence in your path. This is what the demon is doing while I'm walking out of the bathroom at the Ovid Family Community Library. She is standing with her nose in a book, but she is perfectly aligned with the bathroom door, making sure that I'm surrounded upon my exit. That's what this demon is doing, crouched down, tying her shoe, not looking at me, not saying anything. She is stalking in the path. Okay, these are demons that are obsessed with my vagina as well. These are homosexuals. These are demons of the female gender, and they are obsessively stalking like any other predator that you would call a threat merely because he's a man and he's stalking you. And that same predatory spirit and energy is in women who are homosexuals stalking me. Okay, stalking me obsessively every move that I make, including concerning my genitalia when I'm in bathrooms, and they are violating my privacy as an entity, walking in and out and stalking in that bathroom. This is relevant, so that's a tactic, and I'm going to give you a screenshot so you can see what I'm talking about. These are tactics of being in the path while they're stalking, and these are psychopaths. The demons are always looking for ways to appear disinterested while they are obsessively stalking you. Okay, and in the specific environment, there is no such thing. You don't look disinterested, and nobody is fooled by Satan anymore. You're looking at what is stalking. Under all circumstances, stalking. But nonetheless, I do show you what Satan tries to do, show you the tactics, and then you can laugh at it like I do because it is pathetic, and it is exposing what also needs to be known. They're a bunch of homosexual women. They're demons, and they're predators, and they're threats to children. All right, you don't necessarily just trust a woman because she's the one that has the ability to give birth to them. Predators, there's no gender difference with regard to how much of a predator a man or a woman can be, by the way. It is born of a spirit. It's a satanic spirit, and Satan is using women as powerfully as he's using males, just so that you know, in the same way that Satan doesn't have a race. Okay, as you've seen, it's all colors under the rainbow that are gang stalking, that are stalking, engaging in this. So this is what I'm going to show you. It was image captured at 7:14 p.m. last night at the library. This demon is looking, keeping her back to me, stalking, but she is stalking in the path, okay, making sure she's right there when I walk out, stalking in the path. This is the same tactic that this demon at the Fontana Lewis Library under the fake sun is engaging in, and I'll capture a screenshot of that so you can see methods of bathroom monitoring, methods of obsessive stalking. All right, and they're doing so while they're maintaining presence inside of the bathroom. They're maintaining presence outside of the bathroom and all around. Every move that I make, I'm always surrounded, okay? And that's a system of gang stalking, as opposed to traditional stalking where one person is following you around incessantly and you're documenting that person to establish a pattern of conduct of stalking by that person that you've identified. This person is always following me. The documentation is proving that in the specific environment, this entity is following you. They're stalking you. And you're going to prosecute because this entity is stalking in bathrooms. That's how sick they are. Okay, you're already sick when a whole bunch of people don't have any business and they're stalking one person. And it's not about not even just having business. They're doing so to commit murder for Jason Fields and Tracy Banks, who have killed other people and covered it up, who have stolen from other people, and they stole from me and they tried to cover it up by gang stalking me, and they thought that gang stalking was going to make me look crazy. That's how sick they are and delusional. Not only is that not the case, I'm establishing precedent. That's never the case for any American citizen. The government's engaged in surveillance, and the evidence of the entity targeting you is not anything that's even relevant to the mental illness of a targeted individual.
which, by the way, if they have any mental illness, it's still not legally relevant because the pattern of conduct remains a pattern of conduct of that entity. You're not imagining or hallucinating about anything when you're in the specific environment. This is the entity that's relying on corruption. So this is how you have a bunch of doofuses that have never been scrutinized before, never had to think about what they're doing. They just conjure up wicked schemes, and people that are part of this entity permitted to proceed because they're engaging in conduct together as a corrupt enterprise. All right, and nobody's ever thought about it before. They're idiots. It's literally stupidity that I'm capturing as a matter of hard facts and hard evidence in order to prosecute what is severely demented conduct and sexually absurdly perverted behavior. Okay, it's 3:42 p.m. and the fake sun's remaining over the Fontana Lewis Library, which is not in Ontario. And the sun is never going to remain over your vehicle the entire route of where you're driving, as though the sun is personalized to you and is commissioned with remaining over you all day long. And that's the nature of the evidence that I've captured. It's absurd. This is an entity that's demonic. And they're engaging in that targeting system. And the fake sun documentation is actually exposing their mental illness, and their mental illness that is exhibited very clearly because they're all stalking one person together. A bunch of monsters that are trying to haunt someone in order to take that person's life. All right. And then they're also hostile because that didn't happen. So now these demons are very much hostile, as I'm documenting stalking with light, for example, molesting with light at the Arco, at the Chevron, at the downtown Ontario apartments. When you're like a quarter of a mile away from me, how are you touching me with light when you're driving on the street? These demons are very angry while they're being exposed. That's a psychopath. And that's a psychopath that is filling a population, one after another, after another, after another, engage in that same conduct. Your headlights are not reaching that far. Those headlights would be blinding. You would have a 50 car pileup if everybody's headlights were that bright. Okay, you're touching my breast with impulsive light activity because you're a sex offender and you're obsessed with me in the same way that you're stalking me in the bathroom. Okay, it is currently 3:43 p.m. This is P.O.C. in Fontana, California.
It's 5:06 p.m. This is documentation of what is terrorism. Terrorism pursuant to what is federal stalking under Title 18, Section 2261, subsections 1 and 2. And that is the entity that's engaging what is stalking with impossible light. In the depths of the library, we are surrounded by psychopaths that are maliciously stalking on behalf of the government. These are also demons. And that's demonic, and it's actually naturally impossible. That's getting to the malice of the government that is engaged in demonic pacing. This is gang stalking in a library, and it's San Bernardino County, just like San Bernardino County at the TAD office at 1627 East Holt, where the government's gang stalking. San Bernardino County Library is another venue associated with San Bernardino County, the government, the state, that is engaged in surveillance, and it is satanic. That is evidence that's going to be used to prosecute for psychological torture, for monitoring my vagina in the bathroom, for ongoing surveillance pursuant to the intent to obstruct justice. The more that I document, which the entity is monitoring on device, the more that impossible light activity, and nobody in federal court, when the government's prosecuted, is going to state that that's sunlight, that they are ignorant about it. Their psychopaths are going to be diagnosed while they're maliciously targeting, and the light activity proves it. Okay, the entity is engaging in what is pregnant silence while the environment is proving. I want to be clear. Aquanetta Warren, this black-faced, demon-possessed, corrupt actor, she's a domestic terrorist, just like Paul Leon. Criminal surveillance is underway in Fontana, and she is keeping me under surveillance and my vagina under surveillance while homosexuals are stalking in the bathroom. These are demons that are stalking in the path. That's what gang stalking is. And it's occurring in Engineer Light pursuant to the pattern of conduct. And so let me show you. Here's my shadow that's appearing. Let me back up for you. Here's my shadow that's appearing both on the wall and on the desk. This is impossible light activity, multiple shadows. Okay, this is again not the product of, and also on the wall, multiple shadows of my hand. Okay, this is not the product of what is normal artificial light. And in addition to the dynamic light, you can see of the desktops, Engineer Light is aimed in here, it's surrounding. All they're doing is pacing all around, while the light, panels of light is flying around. This is what's happening inside of my hotel room at Ramada. This is what's happening inside of the Ovid Family Community Library. This is what's happening on the Omnitrans public transportation. This is what's happening on the roads and the highways, on the street, on the sidewalk, outside, scraping while the demons, who are the people of the state, are pacing in traffic. And you're witnessing mental illness. Okay, this is an ignorance. This is a psychopathic, malicious conduct, while the demons that are in them are testifying to their criminal activity while the impossible light is present. And let me show you the fake sun, where they're all engaging in criminal conduct, engaged in federal stalking. This is crossing path, crossing path, crossing path, crossing path. This is light on the floor, crossing path, crossing path. And when I go this way, this is where the fake sun will be. The same Spring Street where the fake sun was present. States Postal Service is tracking my steps. They're also monitoring my vagina inside of this library. Okay, this is heavy surveillance inside of the library. And when I go this direction, this is where the fake sun moves, while everybody is engaged in surveillance in the library. Okay, and this and any of this, none of this has to do with what is the light out there. This is demonic. And that's going to be the prosecution for domestic terrorism in the United States. Going to prosecute, for example, the entity that is gang stalking from city to city and county to county, engaging in what is psychological torture, preceding what is murder. And that's why you're stalking with light, exhibiting mental illness in doing so. The United States Postal Service, that includes the people of the state. Okay, this is P.O.C. That's monitoring me while they're on the roads and the highways, specifically targeting me, which is the evidence of the fake sun over me and impossible light surrounding me. This is gang stalking inside of a library. All right, that's P.O.C. It is currently 5:10 p.m. Aquanetta Warren is a gang stalking mayor. They are removed from office. They don't stay in office. This is P.O.C. All right, this is entirely demonic, first off. Second of all, it's the evidence of what is criminal surveillance. That's my shadow appearing up right on a wall in front of me. It's as tall as me. And faint light activity shows there's more than one shadow there. Presence in this environment is where surveillance is underway, and it's also where demons are underway. And you also have what is in the city of Fontana, the depths of a library that has several floors. They're all in Engineer Light. This is all gang stalking. They're all together. Again, sex offenders monitoring my vagina as well. They're creating light activity. Her elongated shadow is impossible light activity, while the fake sun is in alignment to me at 6:45 p.m., where the Ontario International Airport is gang stalking me at 506 North Euclid Avenue at the Chevron, where that fake sun is still on Euclid Avenue, where I'm documenting it rising at 6:39 a.m. and I'm documenting it setting in alignment to me, which is not in perfect alignment with the Fontana Lewis Library at 8437 Sierra Avenue, where this demon's walking in sunlight, where she's engaging in what is presence in the environment, ignorant of it. She's pacing all around monitoring while I'm using my device, which they're all aware of. These are all demons. And this is impossible light activity. This is evidence of targeting. Okay, doing so while the fake sun, where the Ontario International Airport is stalking by commercial planes at 6:45 p.m. at 506 North Euclid Avenue. This is not that. This is not in alignment with the Starbucks at 507 that I'm facing on video, where I am walking out of Chevron at 506 North Euclid Avenue, and the entity is engaging in what is proven to be stalking in an environment where the fake sun remains over me for the duration of the day. This is the same Spring Street and Sierra Avenue, where the city of Fontana is gang stalking. This is P.O.C. The entity is engaging in what is stalking with impossible light, while the people of the state, the entity is monitoring me inside of this library, knowing exactly where I'm at, keeping the fake sun in alignment to me. This is not at 506 North Euclid Avenue in the city of Ontario, where I've already documented the sunrise and the sunset on Euclid Avenue. Okay, this is the P.O.C. The entity knows exactly who I am and where I'm at, and sunlight will never reach into the depths way in back there, where I'm showing you that P.O.C. This is mental illness. This is malice. These are demons and they're mentally ill. They're also violent sex offenders engaging in what is gang stalking. Okay, that's absolutely impossible. It's asininity, and as you capture this asininity, it's going to be the diagnosis and the criminal conviction for surveillance, criminal surveillance by the government in violation of Title 18, Section 2261A, subsections 1 and 2. This is P.O.C. 9FBL 502, molesting. These are sex offenders in Fontana. License 4YUH 736. License 74737C4, gang stalking immigrants, deportation, P.O.C. $6AYT924. The shopping plaza at Marigold and Sierra, the Kaiser Permanente, the shopping plaza where the Starbucks, the Dave's Chicken, the In-N-Out, the El Super. This is where I'm at, where the city of Fontana is engaged in criminal summoning. This is criminal facilitation by the government that is gang stalking with the people. License 9MJF627 is a sex offender molesting my body. While engineer light, you'll see in the dark my two shadows adjacent to each other, while they are demons engaged in terrorism with the government that's sounding sirens as audible activity in that engineer light. The entity is also maintaining planes, which you'll see flying over me. And I will also go ahead and take a picture of the fake moon that's at this same intersection where the city of Fontana is gang stalking and engaged in criminal facilitation of gang stalking, that which is committed in furtherance of murder. The city of Fontana trying to commit murder, trying to murder me. Because they're gang stalking me, and they've been doing so. They've been engaged in this criminal conspiracy for years, by the way, and they're still engaging in it. Set up and watch me publish all of that documentation and continuously engages in that criminal facilitation and in that criminal offense. This is relevant to the federal RICO case. Every business, every immigrant, every civilian is engaging in the pattern of conduct. All right. The entity is doing so with regard to Title 18, Section 2261A, subsections 1 and 2. And the entity is doing so with regard to the people of the state. So those license plates, for example, they represent the entity. And all the demons did was sound the sirens, and then all the demons engage in what is getting in their cars and driving around, like they're always doing. They engage in another round, the maintenance of ongoing activity creation. The government is sharing in what is gang stalking. The government is maintaining the pattern of conduct. The people of the state are engaging in the government's criminal system. All right. This is P.O.C. It's 9:34 p.m. This is, again, Aquanetta Warren, her criminal conduct. All right, this is public corruption she knows all about. She's a part of the community. She's a demon. She's gang stalking with the police, with the demons of the AMR, with the demons who are the civilian population. She's engaged in a criminal conspiracy to commit murder of an American citizen whom she is keeping under surveillance in the city of Fontana, where she is an official who is incompetent, okay, and she is also unfit. This is P.O.C.
All right, 11:42 p.m. The Ontario Police Department is engaged in federal stalking and stalking by flying over by helicopter as well at 415 North Avenue. The entity is doing so in concert with the people of the state that are engaged in gang stalking, another iteration of terrorism, and they're all sex offenders molesting with impossible light in doing so. And this is the city of Ontario gang stalking as the city of Fontana is doing so, and the city of Fontana is helping putting C. Torres, L. Martinez, B. Hook, Nathan Morgan, C. Hazelwood, Owens, L. Edwards, Alex Escobar, and A. Quesada, amongst many other kidnappers of the terrorist organization, the Ontario Police, who are enemies of the United States. They're being disbanded, and those demons in particular are going to federal prison. And the entity is engaged in what is stalking by helicopter at 11:42 p.m. This is P.O.C.